Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. This is story about what if Naruto saves Kurenai in Wave Part 1. Before I start, please do support for more amazing content and comments for Part 2. Do consider to subscribe my channel and share my video to your friends and check out the description as well. Let's start the video. Sarutobi Hijirin, the god of shinobi and the third Hokage of the Leaf, was in his office fighting his arch nemesis that has been plaguing him since his long life as a Kage. Paperwork. He could swear it out loud that it was laughing at his face if people wouldn't think the old man gone senile. Damn it! These monsters are making me regret my choice of ever becoming a ninja. Boom! Gaa! Sarutobi screamed, scared out of his mind, before jumping over his desk with his Kage robes thrown aside, ready in his battle gear. Old man! How why are you dressed like a monkey? Is there a costume party? And you didn't even invite me, Naruto said, sounding hurt. Sarutobi turned to the source of his near-heart attack only to realize it was his 12-year-old surrogate grandson looking at him with door kicked open behind him. Then he realized what he said. Monkey. Promptly his sweat dropped at the reference with his summons. He quickly recomposed himself and replied to him. No, Naruto, I was not having a costume party. What are you doing here anyway? Shouldn't you be at the academy right now? Naruto just scratched his head and braced. Well, I was wondering if you could do me a favor? Sarutobi raised an eyebrow. A favor, you say? He hasn't come to me for help since he entered the academy. I wonder what this is about. Straightening himself, he walked back to his desk and sat down, taking comfort in his chair, and took a puff from his pipe. Well. You know the graduation exam is in the next 3 months and I was wondering if you could help me train. Naruto replied, looking down. So that's why he's so worked up. This is going to be his 3rd time entering the exam, thought Sarutobi. Don't worry, Naruto, I am sure you will graduate this time, Sarutobi encouraged, trying to comfort him in a grandfatherly tone. But old man, if you help me train, I am sure I will pass this stupid test in a blink, Naruto argued, making the Hokage sigh. I'm sorry, Naruto, but being the Hokage, I am busy running the village as it is. Why you don't ask any of the academy instructors? I am sure they will help you, suggested Sarutobi, but he was surprised when Naruto's mood suddenly fell. But Grandpa, I can tell they don't really like me except Iruka-sensei, and he's busy and I don't know anyone else that will help me. Sarutobi could hear the strain in his voice when saying they didn't like him, making lower his head ashamed. If only I could have done more. Hokage-sama, the secretary called, popping her head inside the door. Jonin Kurenai Yuhi is here to see you, she informed, but not before taking a moment to glare at Naruto. It seems I may have found a way to help you, Naruto, Sarutobi thought as he nodded for the secretary to give permission to let her in. The door was opened, and in walked a woman that has been part of every man's wet dream in Konoha. She had long wavy silk-like black hair and wine-like red eyes, her makeup consisting of red lipstick and purple eyeshadow. Her outfit being the most noticeable and unique, a red mesh armor blouse with only the right sleeve visible, a broad material resembling bandages with a rose throne pattern on the middle covering up to her upper thighs. She was the famed Genjutsu mistress of Konoha, otherwise known as the Ice Queen of Konoha. Sorry if I am intruding, Lord Hokage. I have just came to report that I have escorted Hinata safely back to the Hyuga compound, said Kurenai on noticing another presence in the room, thinking she may have interrupted their discussion. It's nothing to worry about, Kurenai-san. I was just having a chat with Naruto-kun here. At hearing the name, she turned to Boy, who was still gaping like a fish at her. So this is the QB brat, Naruto, who just came out of his stupor, upon noticing she was looking at him, said the first thing that came to his mind. Pretty. They both awkwardly made eye contact, both realizing what he said, blushed at the same time and looked away from each other. My, I didn't know you were into older women, Naruto-kun, Sarutobi spoke, giggling perversely at the situation, making Naruto turn a deep shade of red. No, I didn't mean it. Well, I did. I mean, she is pretty. But Kurenai was getting more and more flustered with embarrassment as Naruto's explanation went on. While she was used to cat calls like these, she never in her wild dreams expected them to come from a 12-year-old. Relax, you two, I was just teasing, said Sarutobi, trying to ease the tension. After that he turned to Kurenai and asked. Kurenai, if may be so bold, can I ask you do me a favor? Of course, Lord Hokage. I am at your service. Kurenai bowed as sigh of respect to the village leader while Naruto looked on with interest. You see, Naruto-kun asked me to help him train for the graduation exam, but I'm busy with paperwork. I was wondering if you can train or maybe giving him some tips at least. Kurenai thought about this. On one hand, she could refuse since it was not a mission, but then she remembered a certain Hyuga's crush on him. Why not? It would give me some practice for training the genin teams. Kurenai looked at her possible student, Naruto, who was standing on the balls of his feet, barely containing his excitement, and made her decision. I don't mind, Hokage-sama. Yes. Since now I got super sexy sensei, I will pass for sure, exclaimed Naruto, paying little mind to what he said out loud. Kurenai's face again heated up, this time from both embarrassment and anger. I just hope for his sake that he's not a pervert. Sarutobi chuckled, observing the duo. Since that's taken care, why don't you go introduce each other? Naruto beamed. You are the best, grandpa. Just you wait, I'll be taking that hat from you no time. Kurenai calmly walked over to Naruto and placed a hand on Naruto's shoulder. With your leave, Hokage-sama. The both disappeared by using a shushin to one of the training grounds. As they left, Sarutobi looked at the fourth picture and sighed. Training ground. So what are we going to do, Kurenai-sensei? Are you going to teach me your super cool ultimate jutsu? Huh. 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 Kurenai chuckled at the boy's enthusiasm while Naruto, why don't we spar first so that I know what to teach you, said Kurenai as slid into a fighting stance. Heh. You asked for it, so be ready to fall under the might of the great Uzumaki Naruto. Naruto exclaimed as he charged forward, making Kurenai sigh mentally at his words. Right. 10 minutes later. Kurenai stood over a beaten Naruto and sighed in exasperation. I can't believe it. Even for an academy student, how could you be so terrible? Naruto, who was on the ground, sat up and pouted, puffing his cheeks, added with his whisker marks which made him look like a cute sulking fox. Hey, I wasn't that bad. Kurenai had stopped herself from letting her womanly instincts to take over and rush up to him, squealing cute. Well, whatever you, but we will meet here after the academy is over tomorrow and we will start your training, alright? Naruto nodded, making Kurenai smile at him. Bye, Naruto. Waving her hand once in a goodbye gesture, she disappeared in a swirl of leaves. Naruto stared at the spot where she was previously for a few more seconds, with his bangs covering his eyes, the corner of his lips slowly lifting upwards to form a smirk. Academy next day. It was the end of another boring day at the academy for Naruto. The soon-to-be ninja was right now leaning against the wall waiting at the academy entrance for his new sensei. Did I keep you waiting long? Came a voice from behind, making Naruto turn around and grin. Nope. You are right on time. Naruto's grin only made Kurenai smile at his enthusiasm. So what awesome move are you going to teach me? Wait. You're going to teach me that, what was its name, Shunshine Shushin something, aren't you? It is called Shushin, Naruto, and no. You are a long way from learning that. Kurenai explained, stiffening a giggle. You're mean. Naruto's pout only made her giggle more. Now Naruto, first I have returned someone home before beginning your training, Kurenai said, looking around. Now where could she be? Right then she caught someone peeping from the tree from the corner of her eye. You can come out now, Hinata. Eep. Naruto turned to the source and saw the girl with the weird eyes from his class. Hinata, who has doing her daily hobby of staking her Naruto-kun, came from behind the tree, poking her fingers in a very Hinata-ish fashion. She shyly made her way to them, her face becoming red with each step because she was getting close to her Naruto-kun. HHLOK, Kurenai-sensei. Hinata spluttered out a greeting. Kurenai only gave gentle smile at the shy girl. Let's go, we are already late, Kurenai stated and started walking towards the Hyuga compound. Kurenai-sensei, are you also going to train her too? Naruto asked, looking at Hinata, who trying everything she can to become one with her coat. No, Naruto. Even though I wouldn't mind, I don't think her father will agree to her training outside their clan compound, Kurenai informed. It will do wonders to her confidence if she did train with you though. Well, that's too bad, we could have made some super cool combos, Naruto exclaimed, looking at Hinata, who was looking like a ripe tomato. As we all know, Naruto being an orphan, he didn't know a thing about personal space. So it was natural for him to go over and inspect Hinata on seeing her turn red. Hey Hinata, your face is all red, are you sick or something? Placing a hand on her forehead, he drew his face near to hers up to the point that their noses were almost touching, and that was the final straw as Hinata's steps began to turn unsteady, and her feet started to sway, and her head started to feel a little oozy, and she fainted. Ah! Kurenai-sensei, Naruto yelled, trying to wake up Hinata by slapping her in the face, rather hardly. Kurenai, who was watching the whole scene unfold, could only sigh and shake her head in amusement. After dropping the unconscious girl, and as Naruto put with the weird eyes at their clan compound, the duo of unofficial teacher and student made their way to the training ground. Alright Naruto, from our spar yesterday I can say you have high stamina, but to be blunt your form and control sucks. Naruto dropped his head with a dark cloud looming over it on hearing her, so that's why I am going to train you in improving your taijutsu and chakra control, Kurenai said, trying to cheer him up, which did the trick as he exclaimed that he wasn't going to disappoint her. 3 months later. Nearly 3 months had passed since Kurenai started Naruto's training, and she could honestly say she was proud of her unofficial student. He was not a genius by any means, but he made up for it with his hard work and showed great potential. Naruto's taijutsu and control was now adequate for a genin, so he shouldn't have much problem for those departments in the exams which will be conducted by the end of this week, and she was sure he would pass without a problem except the clone technique, and she was planning on talking to the Hokage for making some arrangement for him, since he was a special case. As Kurenai was mulling over this, Naruto just finished his final laps around the training ground and was making his way to her. Her train of thought was cut short at hearing him calling her name. "What is it, Naruto?" Kurenai asked softly, seeing as he was acting somewhat shy and hesitant, which was not normally the way he behaved. "MUSCI. Don't be afraid to talk to me, Naruto, you can tell me anything you want, alright?" Kurenai encouraged on seeing him hesitate. Not one to need further encouragement, Naruto regained some of his confidence and spoke. "Well, I was wondering if you would like to come with me to Itraman," he blustered out rapidly, not making any sense to Kurenai. Kurenai took a moment to understand the sentence, and when she did her face turned crimson and yelled, which was complete opposite her calm and collected personality. "Naruto! You can't ask your sensei to go on a date with you," Naruto, seeing that he may be on the receiving end of feminine fury, quickly explained. "And no, Kurenai sensei, it's not what you think. I just wanted to thank you for training me by treating you to ramen." Oh. Kurenai didn't know why, but she felt rather disappointed at his reason. She wouldn't admit it out loud, but she had become rather fond of the blonde demon container, and it didn't help that he was irresistibly cute sometimes. If only he was a bit older. Kurenai caught herself before she went too far in her thinking. "Oh my god! What am I thinking? If Anko hears a whiff about this, then I wouldn't hear the end of it." "Kurenai sensei, are you okay? You kinda spaced out," Naruto asked, concerned, holding a hand out as if to check on her. Sorry about that," Kurenai spluttered, taking a step back, failing to keep her composure. "So are you coming?" Yes. Let's go." Naruto didn't wait for her to complete her sentence, as she was dragged across the street by a giddy Naruto. Naruto and Kurenai made their way to his ramen stand within minutes, surprising her with how fast she was dragged her here. Moving the flaps, they went in to take seat. "Hey! Old man, your favorite customer is here." A man in his middle 40s came from the back and greeted him. "Oh, Naruto, it's good to see you." Noticing he wasn't alone, he turned to his other customer. "And you, miss?" "My name is Kurenai Yuhi. I'm Naruto-san." "Kurenai Yuhi. As in the Ice Queen of Konoha." He turned to Naruto, crying, anime tears rapidly running down his face. "Naruto, my boy, not even a ninja, and you bagged not only a smoking hot woman but also one of the hardest catches. I'm so proud." While this was going on, Ayam, who was in the back, came, only to see a crimson-faced Naruto with her dad giving him a headlock and a beautiful woman with twitching eyes while light blush was adoring her cheeks. Quickly understanding what was going on and that her dad was embarrassing her Naruto in front of his friend, she somehow summoned a frying pan into her hand out of nowhere. "Dad! Stop messing with Naruto!" Ayam yelled, hitting him on top of the head with the frying pan. Clang! Thud! "Thanks, Ayam-chan. You're a lifesaver," Naruto signed, giving a grateful look. "It's fine, Naruto-kun, so what's the order?" "I'll have a miso to begin, and I'll have seafood ramen," Kurenai ordered, going over the menu. She didn't see the brief nod Naruto sent towards Ayam. Writing down the order, Ayam went to prepare them. "So Naruto, do you come here often?" "Yes. This place sells the best ramen in the whole world," Naruto boasted, and then went on to explain how ramen is the food made for gods while the order arrived. After finishing her ramen, Kurenai had to admit it was one of the best dishes she ever had, even though she was not that much of a cook herself. "I have to admit, Naruto, this is the best ramen I ever had," Kurenai said, only to sweat drop seeing the mountain of bowls beside him, while she only managed to eat one bowl. "Well, I'm glad. I was beginning to think Naruto-kun is the only one who likes our ramen," Ayam said cheerfully. "I wouldn't mind eating here more often," Kurenai said as she went on to pay the bill, but Tenchi stopped before she could. "No. It's on the house. Naruto rarely brings anyone here." Kurenai smiled at father and daughter duo, already thinking of her next visit. Saying their goodbyes, Kurenai and Naruto made their way out of the ramen stand to the streets. Why are you coming with me, Naruto? Kurenai asked a moment later on seeing him continue to walk silently beside her. Well, Grandpa always told me it's polite to walk a lady home. Naruto gave a foxy grin, making her giggle at his reference to the Hokage. Well, remind me to thank him, Lat. Kurenai trailed off as her head began to spin. She brought her hand to her temple to steady the dizziness. What happened, G, were her last thoughts before she fell forward into a warm embrace and lost her conscience. Kurenai groggily woke up as her blurry eyes began to regain focus. The first thing she noticed was that she was not in her room. She tried to move her body, then realized that she can't move even an inch, and that she was tightly bound to a chair. So you finally woke up. I was beginning to think that I went a little overboard. Kurenai turned only to see a shadowy figure sitting in front of, still unable to focus on her surroundings. She asked out loud. Where am I and who are you? I'm hurt, Kurenai. Did you already forget about me? Said the figure coming into light. Kurenai sighed in relief, finally able to see her captor. Naruto, if this one of your pranks, then it's not funny, and you are definitely going to be in a world of trouble. Naruto just smirked. Well, then I just have to make you very obedient then, Kurenai. Noticing he didn't call her sensei for the first time, a little panic started to settle in her gut, and she looked to his face to assure herself that this was only a joke. Naruto, what are you talking about? And what Kurenai saw made her breath to get caught in her lungs. In front of her was the same grinning Naruto with his casual, cheerful expression on his face, but it was his eyes that terrified her so much that she forgot the need to breathe. His eyes that were once as bright as the sun were now cold, showing nothing but a terrible mixture of hatred, malice, and bitterness. Those were the most sinister eyes Kurenai had ever seen. The hidden village of the Leaf, a place considered to produce the greatest of among the ninjas, a village which withstood the 3 great shinobi wars only to come out on top, a village where teamwork is considered to be the greatest of weapons, a village which contained the will of fire which was carried on by its different Hokages. They were the heroes of the village, not only because of their strength but also because of how they kept the order within the village. They were admired by the civilians and utmost respected by their fellow ninja. At least that is the expression one will get when they living in the village. But they were always things that the outside world didn't, or rather that the people of the village didn't want to accept. They went unignored even if they were in plain sight, because the people, even if they from the strongest village in the elemental nations, there were still only humans. It was in their nature to notice what they want to and never beyond. These were the darker secrets kept by the glorified Hokages of the village. The sins committed by the village leaders to keep their village on top and keep the peace within the village. These secrets which were made sure to never come into the light, and only very few selected people can ever hope to know these secrets and live to tell about them. But the most surprising of all was that these secrets mainly revolved around a single person, or a single boy. Even from before his birth there were these secrets that involved him in one way or the other. He can only hope that someday he can know the truth about his origins. 7 years after the Kyuubi attack. It has been 7 years since the Kyuubi, the great 9-tailed fox, attacked Konoha and was defeated in a fatal combat with the 4th Hokage. But the adults knew the truth, that it was sealed, in what they believed to be the Kyuubi's incarnate. That boy's name was Naruto Uzumaki, the container and jailer of the greatest of the Bijou, the 9-tailed demon fox. We currently find the 7-year-old blonde sitting at the window of his broken apartment, looking over the people that were present in the street with a blank expression on his face, thinking over the many questions that were always plaguing his mind. Why does everyone look at me with those eyes? Naruto always knew he was different from everyone else for a long time. At first he thought that everyone was like him as well. But as time went by, he too began to notice how differently the villagers reacted when he was around. Naruto was by no means stupid without anyone else being there to take care of him and help him, except that old man with the funny hat, and with almost everyone within the village hating him, he began to mature at a very young age and adapt to the many unpleasant things that were vital for his survival. Well, the occasional beatings thus helped, though Naruto thought bitterly with an unnoticeable scowl on his face. He had learned the hard way not to show any of the emotions he truly felt. While in public he would grin like an idiot and smile like an idiot, he knew if he even showed a small sign of weakness, people would exploit it more. After all, a smart demon is a dangerous demon, isn't it? That was another thing that Naruto never got to figure out, was why people muttered things like demon, brat, monster, abomination, thinking that he was unable to hear them, which would have been true if he was normal, but he by no means was normal, and he could always hear those whispers quite clearly. It was like a one big unsolved puzzle to him. I should go to sleep. Have to go to academy tomorrow, Naruto said to himself, but little did he know that the puzzle would be solved soon. After locking the room and setting some traps that he learned over the years, It was not much, but anything was better than nothing, he thought, going to his bedroom, but that's when alarm bells rang off in his head. It was like a defensive mechanism he had developed as immunity from the external threats, as way to protect him. Quickly taking out a kunai he got from the old man, he got into a offensive stance, holding the hilt of the kunai with both hands in front him. "Who's there?" There was no response, but Naruto knew better. Closing his eyes, he tried to sense the presence in the room. This was another thing he developed over the years. At first he thought it like sixth sense, but as time went on it came to point of recognizing the emotions with some concentration just by looking at them. That's why he cursed about his situation when he sensed the malicious feelings of the ANB when he caught a glimpse of him before being knocked out. Naruto woke up to find himself bound to a tree in what he assumed as a scheduled part of the Konoha's forest. "Look, the demon has finally woken up." Naruto turned to the source of the voice, even though he had a very good idea what would await for him. But his body worked without his consent, and he turned to come face to face with another mob of both civilians and ninja armed with different weapons ranging from pitchforks to katanas. "Let's go kill the demon," someone in the mob yelled out, making the others follow suit. Naruto knew no one will come to save him. After the first few attacks, the Hokage had assigned him an ANBU team to look after and protect him, but Naruto knew better. They would never come to save him. Even now he could feel their presence, watching everything like it was some sort of sick show. They only came at the last movement to stop the mob from giving him the final blow, and even then left him to die, prolonging his suffering with his bloody and broken body. Naruto didn't even flinch as the first of the many attacks that were to come hit him. He willed himself to not to cry out in pain and tried to stay conscious as long as possible, trying to remember each and every one of the attackers' faces to the greatest detail before darkness took over him. Naruto woke up at nearly sunrise to find the bounds have cut off at some point during last night. His body had many weapons, some kunai, and broken glass sticking out of him. Struggling, he slowly got to his feet and began to think of the events that took place last night. Flashback. After fighting to stay conscious, Naruto's body finally gave up. His will might have been strong, but his body was still of a fragile child and was succumbed by darkness. Where am I? Naruto groaned, waking up only to realize that he was no longer in forest of Konoha. Did they really have to dump me in a sewer? Naruto said out loud, but then noticed something odd about the place. The place was pitch dark, but he could clearly see everything, and he was not at all getting wet by standing in the water, which was weird because he could feel the flow at his legs. He closed his eye and tried to sense any presence in the room, his eyes, and they snapped open as he felt a strong one in the depths of the place. Trusting his instincts that always saved him, he decided to follow the pipes. After what seemed like an eternity of waking for Naruto, he finally came across a giant cage with a paper at the center with seal written on it. He can still feel that presence from the other side of the cell. Getting curious on what kind of being preferred to live behind the bars, he took a step forward. "So you finally decided to visit me, mortal?" a booming voice said. Naruto had to cover his ears to stop the ringing. He looked up to see two giant glowing red orbs with slits staring at him from the darkness of the cage. A grin that gave display of giant-sized shark-like teeth formed below the eyes of the creature, but Naruto was too far gone in his thoughts to notice anything else. As soon as he saw those eyes, something within Naruto clicked, and he was able to form the final piece of his puzzle. Everything he had to through in his short life period made sense to him now. All the glares, all hated whispers, all the beatings he took made perfect sense to him now. "I am the container of the..." "I see you figured it out, mortal," said the Kyuubi as it came into the light from the depths of the cage. "Kyuubi. I see you are smarter than I gave you credit for, you hairless monkey." The Kyuubi waited for reply or a comeback or anything from the boy, but there were none. Naruto just continued to stare blankly at the Kyuubi. "What, too afraid to speak? Don't tell me a fox got your tongue." Now it was beginning to unnerve the Kyuubi. It was as if a mortal was looking down on the great beast. "Nobody looks down me," the Kyuubi thought, and smirked as a thought crossed its mind. The nine-tailed fox began to shrink its size and began to form into a humanoid shape. Its tail began to retreat, and went back into the tailbone, and the blood-red fur began to disappear. There was light smoke coming from where once the giant beast stood. The smoke finally cleared to reveal a naked woman with blood-red hair which came to the back of her knees. She had flawless skin, not having a single blemish present in it. Her face was heart-shaped with a small petty nose. She had the same blood-red eyes with slits as before, but there was a hint of mischievousness in it if one were to observe closely. "Surprised, monkey?" the Kyuubi said in an angelic voice as she was displayed in all naked glory. The Kyuubi was expecting many things from her container, and she was going through the different retorts in her head for his reactions, like a nosebleed, or "holy shit, you're a woman" comment among other things, but never in her eternal life had she expected. "So you're the Kyuubi?" Naruto spoke for the first time, his voice and expression devoid of any emotions that he may be feeling. Kyubi blinked once and then again. She was not expecting such a simple sentence, which also sounded like he was talking to himself from her container, who continued to stare at her. For the first time in her life she felt something foreign, a new kind of feeling. For the first time she felt exposed, and her first urge was to immediately cover herself. Her hands twitched, but she suppressed the urge. Her pride wouldn't allow her to be shown weak. "Ha, you certainly are interesting, mortal." She laughed and looked at Naruto, who had yet to show any emotions, and thought of the reason why she brought him here. "You're amusing, but now for the reason why I brought you into your mind is because I have proposition for you, so be grateful. I will grant you my power and knowledge in return. You." "No." "Give me what?" "I said no," Naruto replied calmly, his eyes shadowing his eyes, and turned to walk away. Kyubi was confused first, which then grew into angry at the fact that someone dared to refuse her. How dare he turn me down? "Wait. You insect, you have the nerve to refuse me, the great Kyubi. The greatest of the tailed beast. You pesky more." Suddenly a sense of dread washed over the Kyubi, abruptly halting her rant. "I said I don't need your power." As she looked into her container's now dark purple eyes with vertical slits, she felt something that scared her to the core, and she knew the feeling. How can she not know? It was the same feeling she got from the being that sealed her. "And I certainly don't need you," Naruto's exclaimed, his voice almost turning demonic at the end. "Shinigami," was the last thing Kyubi thought before her knees became weak and she fell on her butt and her container disappeared from her view. Flashback end. With the last of the weapons removed from his body, Naruto gathered the kunai and other usable materials that were stained with his blood. Since the stores didn't sell him anything, he used the things that were once used to kill him to protect himself. How ironic, Naruto thought as he began to limp his way home, each wound rapidly closing with each step he took out of the dark forest. By the time sunlight hit his face, his body was completely healed without trace of what happened except the dried blood on his torn clothes. Bringing up the back of his hand to cover his eyes from the sunrays, his lips slowly turned upwards in what would be his first and only genuine smile instead of the fake ones he gave every day. For the first time, Naruto knew what to do in his life. He had a goal now. A real goal that he had to achieve instead of the one he portrayed. Who knows, I may as well become Hokage and then run Konoha to the ground. And Naruto, what is this all about? Kurenai mentally cursed herself for sputtering, and by the way Naruto's grin widened, she knew he caught it as well. "I don't know what you mean, Kurenai. We are just going to have some fun," Naruto said innocently. "Why are you doing this?" Kurenai asked again. She could tell this was not the same goofball she had come to like. Naruto's demeanor suddenly changed, and he opted a serious expression. "I want you to train me," Naruto calmly stated with a straight poker face. Kurenai would have face faulted if it wasn't for the fact that she was bound, and she was having second thoughts about his sanity. "You idiot! What do you think we were doing for the past 3 months?" Kurenai yelled. This whole being tied to a chair and not being able to access her chakra was getting on her nerves. "Don't call me an idiot, and I'm not talking about what you taught me till now. I want you to train me after the graduation test." Now this surprised and aggravated Kurenai. Did he really have to tie her for such a trivial reason? "What do you mean, Naruto? You will have your own Jonin sensei after you graduate?" Kurenai asked, making Naruto scowl. "Please, do you honestly think I'll pass?" His question only made her confused. Why wouldn't he pass? Did he really lack the confidence? "Of course you will, Naruto. I was going to consult the Hokage about your Bushin problem as well." The deadpan look he gave her as a response got her even more confused. "I think you misunderstood me, Kurenai. Let me rephrase it and ask again. Do you think they will let me pass?" Kurenai's eyes widened when she finally understood what he meant and got into his line of thinking. "You mean they were? Except the clone jutsu, I would have graduated on my first try if they didn't tamper with my tests." Kurenai gasped, her anger rising. It all made sense to her now. She did find it strange that Naruto remained the dead last for 3 straight years. "Naruto, we have to report to Hokage about this. He will." "No," Naruto said fiercely, cutting her off. "You will not mention this to anyone." But she tried to reason with him, making Naruto sigh. "Look, Kurenai, even if I pass by some miracle, do you really think my Jonin will train me, the demon brat?" Kurenai looked down, lowering her head. She couldn't blame him from thinking so negatively. From the way she saw him get treated a few times, she couldn't imagine how hard it must have been for him because of the cue. Her head snapped up, showing her wide eyes as she realized something. Yukno about tea the Kurenai tried to ask, not minding of her sputtering, and for the first time she truly felt afraid of the person before her. For all she knew, it might not have been Naruto she was interacting with, it could be the Kyuubi. Naruto finished the dreadful word, making her almost afraid of the answer. Yes, I have known for a few years now, but you don't have to worry about Kyuubi controlling me if that is what you're thinking. Kurenai sighed in relief, instantly accepting the answer. The possibility of a lie never crossed her mind, the alternative wasn't exactly appealing at the moment. But his strange yet calm behavior stirred something in her mind as another realization struck her, and her jaw promptly dropped. Why, you planned all of this, didn't you? Naruto's smirk was all she needed to confirm her suspicions. When? I mean, how? Naruto chuckled. You're not as smart you look if you just figured it out. Kurenai got a tick mark at that, and I planned it all from the beginning. I have been watching you come to the academy and take the Hyuga in my class for a while now, and choosing the time when you would just so happen to come and give the report was very convenient. A few words were all that I need to persuade the old man to let you train me. Kurenai could only nod in astonishment, and subconsciously her respect for the blonde container grew. He truly acted like a ninja. I understand the first part, but why go to such lengths? You could have just told me all of this. I'm sure I would have helped you at least. TSK Kurenai, it isn't about me passing actually. In fact, it never was about me passing. I could care less about what happens to the village. Now Kurenai couldn't believe what she was hearing. The world must be falling apart if this was the same Uzumaki Naruto that boasted around the village wanting to be Hokage. Then what about your dream? Is it all a lie? Kurenai probed, trying to get more information, but a small part of her couldn't help herself. She wanted to know more about him. Oh, I will become the Hokage, alright. Naruto chuckled darkly, making a shiver go up her spine. It was so unlike the Naruto she knew. And then I will personally run Konoha to the ground. Naruto's voice turned demonic in the end with a devilish grin. Kurenai felt really scared now. She was helpless without her chakra. She was more or less a civilian right now, but she wasn't a jonin for nothing, and her loyalty to the village kicked in automatically. I won't let you do that, Kurenai said heatedly. Taking a deep breath, she calmed herself down. Calm down, Kurenai, you have to talk to him out of this. He is still Naruto. You just need to be gentle. Taking a deep breath, she began. Look, Naruto. I admit what the village did to you was wrong, but revenge is not the solution for it. Kurenai tried to convince him to not go into the darker path. I knew you would say that, Naruto stated calmly, as if he knew she would say the exact same words. Her somewhat startled response was cut off. Faster than her eyes can follow, a kunai got embedded on the ground behind her, then slowly a cut formed on her cheek right below her left eye. Ugh! Kurenai shut her eyes in pain. Is he going to kill me? She thought, her heart clenching at the prospect. Don't worry, I won't kill you, Naruto answered, as if reading her mind. You're still too ignorant of the truths that guide this village, Naruto thought. Then are you just going to let me go after telling me all of this? Even if I care about you, my loyalty still remains with village, and I will report to the Hokage-sama about this. Oh really? Do you honestly think they will choose you over me, the village's secret weapon? Of course they will. If I tell them you're not loyal to the village, Hokage-sama will believe me. Naruto's lips twitched upwards with slight muffling sounds escaping them as he tried very hard to hold back his laughter and failed miserably. Mom, ha 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 ha. What? Ha ha. What? What's so funny? Kurenai asked, irritated, to which Naruto just ignored her as he tried to control his laughter and suddenly stopped, baffling her with a sad and hurt expression. Gra Grandpa. I don't know what SS he is talking about. She took me to her apartment saying she was going to make me feel good, and then she started to take off my clothes. Some sniffing noises could be heard here. I got scared and said I wanted to leave, but she shut the door saying she wanted to be the first to tame the demon. Am I really a demon, Grandpa? Naruto added at the end with a few more sniffs and cries. Kurenai's mouth was now so wide you could actually see her insides. Why, you can't be serious. There is no way anyone would believe that. Why don't we find out then? But you should know you will not be first to try taming me, Naruto said, cleaning the imaginary dirt particles from his nails. Kurenai paled because she knew it was true. She was aware of some of the attempts made on him and that the Hokage had a soft spot for him, but to what extent she didn't know. If there was even a slight chance of what he said was true, then she was screwed. Her reputation she worked so hard to build all her life would run into the gutter. Don't be so down now, most of the village probably will worship you for your powers to tame my demon. Kurenai glared at him. Why me? Naruto could hear Kyubi laughing her ass off in the back of his mind as he registered Kurenai's question. Huh? Kurenai kept glaring at him, which he met with his calm blue orbs. A battle was going on between the two as she tried intimidating him. But in the end it was her who looked away first. She knew she had no choice, so she finally gave up signing mentally. Why me? Why not another Jonin? Why did you choose me? Kurenai asked, looking at ground. All the mental barriers she had built over the years to protect herself from the harsh life of the shinobi were finally shattered by the 12-year-old in front of her. Naruto frowned, seeing the once strong woman break like this for the first time since the conversation began. He walked towards her and reached out to touch her cheek where he injured her before and began to heal it with his chakra using the only medical jutsu he got his hands on over the years. Kurenai looked up at him as she enjoyed the warm sensation his chakra was giving off. It's because you were weak and most easy for me to knock out, Naruto said bluntly. Kurenai looked away, knowing it was true. Even if she could delude herself, Kurenai knew she was the weakest of all her fellow Jonin. Even her best friend Anko, who was not even a complete Jonin, could easily beat her if she was given the time of the day. Naruto didn't say anything and just watched the different emotions that crossed her face. A small part of felt guilty for making her go through all this. As he healed the wound completely without a scar, he gently brought her chin up so that their eyes could make contact. Besides, why would I, in my right mind, would ever want to seduce a guy when I can have someone as beautiful as you? Naruto whispered, leaning forward, making Kurenai blush at the compliment, but before she could say anything, Naruto covered her lips with his. Kurenai froze at the contact. She wouldn't admit it, nor that anyone knew except maybe Anko, that she didn't have that much experience, if at all, with the opposite sex. Inside her cold exterior, she was a very shy girl who was always afraid to take the next step. In fact, that was the reason she wanted to boost Hinata's confidence. She could probably count the number of dates she went on with one hand, and they all ended the same way, with Anko beating the shit out them for trying something on her, and after the initial experiences she began to refuse everyone and only focused in her ninja career. She was ashamed to tell, but this was her first kiss. That's why when Naruto kissed her she felt many foreign feelings enter her body. His lips, they are so soft and warm, Kurenai thought as began to relax and lean into the kiss. Unknown to Kurenai, Naruto was releasing little amounts of his chakra into her system, making her relax, and when she began to lean in, he pushed his tongue into her mouth. Kurenai moaned as Naruto's tongue entered her mouth and began to send even more of his chakra. Kurenai didn't know why, but she never wanted these warm feelings to end. Did a kiss really felt so good? Naruto's free hand went to her clothed right, and he began to knead it lightly, making her moan even louder, while his other hand went around the chair to untie her bounds. Kurenai felt as if her body was on fire. She had never been this much aroused in her life. When the ropes came off, her hands immediately went to his head, gripping his hair. She tried to push him even further into her, not wanting to let him go. Naruto squeezed her even harder and began pinching her through the fabric of her clothing, relishing in hearing her squeals of delight. Naruto knew this was wrong. She was one of the few people who genuinely wanted to help him, but he had to make sure her loyalty remained only to him. After what seemed to be an eternity to Kurenai, Naruto finally pulled back and began to kiss down her jawline. Oh God! Naner, to Kurenai moaned as she was too far gone in cloud nine to think of any coherent thoughts. She was breathing heavily from the kiss. Naruto was now laying light kisses where her shoulder and jaw meet. His hands now began to do a series of hand seals behind her back. You know, Kurenai, you really shouldn't let your guard down this much, Naruto said between kisses as he completed the set of hand seals. Aha awayaha. Kurenai's body exploded in pain as Naruto's teeth lengthened and sank them at the juncture of her neck. Kurenai could do nothing but scream in pain as Naruto held her down. The pain eventually became too much after a few seconds, and she passed out. Naruto slowly removed his teeth, showing the two punctures on her neck with trails of blood leaking from them. I am sorry, Kurenai, but you're mine now whether you like it or not? Naruto said, looking at the limp woman in his arms as the wounds began to close up and seal formed on her neck. Graduation day. Naruto sat in his class paying half mind to the lecture Iruka was giving about the life as a ninja. He was dead tired from the entire skirmish from Kurenai last night. That jutsu still takes a lot out of me, and I just had to go play that prank the next morning, which was true. Just a few hours ago he painted all of the Hokage's faces on the monument. It was his way of releasing his pent-up emotions and a way of mocking them, but they were too stupid to understand that. So between last night's incident and the prank he only had few hours to himself, and it didn't help the Kyubi was all the while grumbling about another bitch and some hussy. Now Naruto knew foxes were possessive. But he had no idea that it would get bigger as the fox gets bigger, and to top it off he just had to fall over Sasuke and kiss the brooding emo prince because he was too tired to notice his surroundings. He sometimes wondered if Itachi had gone insane by watching the Uchiha brood every day, but he could care less about the emo or Itachi. There was only Uchiha he cared about. He was seriously considering walking out of the exam just to clean his mouth at the moment. And so I wish you all good luck and hope to work with you in the future as fellow ninja of Konoha. Iruka finished his speech and started distributing the papers for the written test. Kurenai woke up in her apartment with a splitting headache. She didn't remember what happened last night after leaving the ramen stand, but slowly everything began to come back to her, and shot up from her bed and jolted to the bathroom to see her reflection in the mirror, and she breathed a sigh of relief on getting view of her unblemished neck. Was that all a dream? But it felt so real, Kurenai thought as her fingers went to her lips with a slight blush on her cheeks. She shook her head to clear her thoughts. Even if it is a dream, I should probably tell the Hokage. Kurenai fell to her knees, grasping her neck in pain. She felt like it was on fire. Gritting her teeth, she looked in her mirror and gasped. On her neck was a glowing red swirl, and seeing it, Kurenai knew what happened last night was not a dream. The pain went away after a few moments. Kurenai shakily got to her feet, panting to regain her breath. Looking at her reflection once more, she decided to go to the academy and confront the source of her problems. Konoha Ninja Academy. Naruto didn't even look at the questions twice. He knew the answers to every question. Honestly, didn't they ever think of changing the paper? Naruto thought as he finished the last question and looked around to see Shikamaru and Nara, who also finished his paper and was preparing to sleep. Naruto for once agreed with the lazy genius, but felt a small fluctuation in his chakra which got an unnoticeable smirk on his face. He knew he would be having a visitor soon, so he tried to get as much sleep as he can. Kurenai reached the academy by the end of the written test. She decided to wait and watch the whole exam and confront him when he was alone. So, she hid herself under a strong genjutsu, and what she saw made her blood boil. She easily noticed the wind jutsu Mizuki did to throw off Naruto's aim, but even then he managed to hit half of the targets, and on top of that the students were making by calling him dead last. She really wanted to go there and tell them otherwise. Kurenai sighed as she watched as everyone took a break before the final exam. She was stall watching Naruto crouched from the roof of a building as he walked further from the rest of the group. Once Naruto was sure that no one was following him, he smirked as he disappeared in swirl of leaves. Had fun spying on me? Naruto asked, appearing behind the crouched Kurenai, surprising her. Not wanting her to draw any attention, Naruto wrapped an arm around her shoulder with another covering her mouth. But unknown to both of them, another person was watching all of this unfold. A few hours ago, Uchiha Mikoto, the sole female survivor of the Uchiha clan, was worried as she watched her son go to the academy for the final time. But she wasn't worried about Sasuke. She knew he would pass easily if it wasn't for her denying the council. They would have made him genin a year ago. No, she was currently worried about a certain orange-clad blonde ninja. Ever since the massacre, she and Naruto had an odd relationship. He had been there to support her through her rough times. Since Sasuke refused to talk to anyone, he had been her shoulder to cry on. He was like the source of light in her dark world, and in return she had been completely honest with him. When he asked her about his parents, she told him the truth. She had confined many of her insecurities to him, and just that, hoped one day he would open up to her like she was to him. But all that aside, Mikoto was worried because normally Naruto would come to visit her once or twice a week, and it had been nearly a month since Naruto came. She knew he was training under some jonin since he had told her, but he didn't mention the name, so she assumed he was training. But last night when she went to his apartment to check on him, she found it empty. She waited for a few hours before coming back. That is the reason why we now find her hidden and watching as the students began to fill the class. Mikoto frowned as she watched her son ignore everyone in the class. Oh, Sasuke, Mikoto thought sadly, but smiled when she saw a tired Naruto come to the class. Maybe he was training all night. She watched as the Haruno and Yamanaka bickered and nearly burst out laughing and broke her cover when she watched her son and Naruto kissed. Seeing everything was fine as it could be, Mikoto was about to take leave but halted when she saw one Yuhi Kurenai hide in the rooftops and hide herself in a genjutsu. She's decided to check any potential students. Interested, she decided to stay and watch. Now, before Mikoto retired from active duty, she was near a Kage-level ninja, so it was easy for her to hide from a jonin, and activated her Sharingan to see through the genjutsu. Mikoto's eyes narrowed when she saw the Chunin pull the cheap trick on Naruto. I have to tell the Hokage about this. Mikoto decided to go and console Naruto after seeing him walk away in what she assumed to depression. So imagine her surprise when she saw Naruto appear behind Kurenai using a Sheshin. And her jaw almost hit the base of the tree when Naruto began touching Kurenai in places. Present time. Oblivious to the audience, they had Naruto removed his hand from Kurenai's mouth and began play with her with his chakra-coated hands. Naruto, what are you doing here? Kurenai moaned, much to her own disappointment. I should ask you the same thing? Said Naruto as he began to nibble on Kurenai's ear. I came MH2. Meanwhile, a certain Uchiha was having a mental tantrum. What the hell is he doing? And why isn't she stopping him? Don't tell me they are a couple. Is she the Jonin he was talking about? Is this the reason he isn't coming to visit me? Mikoto thought sadly at the end, but shook her head, knowing Naruto wouldn't do that to her. She would later have to have private talk with Kurenai. Naruto released Kurenai and took a step back and watched as she took deep breaths to drain the color off her face, which now was the same as her eyes. Don't do that again, Kurenai yelled, covering her chest to protect whatever modesty she had left. You could have stopped me if you wanted to, Naruto pointed out. Kurenai didn't say anything to that. What happened last night, and what is that seal you put on me? She asked after a few seconds. It was to ensure that you would never betray me, Naruto stated with an air of calmness. So you're telling me I'm your slave, is that it? Huh? Kurenai said, enraged, to which Naruto just smirked. You're saying like it's a bad thing. What? Kurenai blushed at what he was intending. Naruto calmly walked towards where she was on her knees. Don't tell me you didn't enjoy last night? Naruto asked huskily as he began to caress her cheek and leaned in so that their noses were touching. Mikoto was now confused. First they were going all cuddly, and now they were having a heated discussion. She couldn't read their lips using her Sharingan due to her angle, so she stealthily jumped in the nearby tree but was only able to catch the last part of the conversation. Last night? Last night. Oh my god! Don't tell me they were doing it last night. No, it can't. I must be imagining things. Mikoto nodded to herself, thinking she was right, but then paled. But Naruto wasn't home last night, and he seemed tired in the morning as well. Before she could control herself, she began to have perverted thoughts coupled with some of scenarios from the orange books she secretly read. It was no wonder she flew back the tree with a nosebleed. Thud. Kurenai was mentally screaming at herself to pull back, but her body betrayed her and melted at his touch. She gave up and was about to lean in to kiss him when Naruto pulled back. What was that? Asked Naruto, thinking he heard something. Kurenai took this opportunity and shushined quickly. Naruto turned around and looked around only to find he was the only one on the roof. Huh? Where did she go? A few hours later. Naruto was sitting on his favorite swing watching everyone celebrate with their parents, while giving him the occasional glares. He could care less about what they thought about him. He knew he was strong, but he was nowhere near a Jonin, and he barely had any handful jutsu in his arsenal. His thoughts were interrupted when he felt a presence coming near him. He turned around to face a kindly smiling Mizuki coming his way, but Naruto wasn't fooled. He could sense the hatred coming from Mizuki, but he decided to humor him. Don't be so down, Naruto. Iruka was only hard on you because he cares about you. You're right. I know, Mizuki-sensei, but even though I worked so hard I still failed. Mizuki mentally chuckled darkly. Things were going according to his plan, but don't worry, Naruto, there is still a way for you to pass. Now this got Naruto's interest. I'm hearing, Mizuki-sensei. Mikoto, after waking up, tried to look for Kurenai, but for the life of her couldn't, so she decided to talk to Naruto to know what's going on between him and Kurenai. She saw Sasuke coming out wearing a headband and went to congratulate him. Sasuke-kun, congratulations on passing. Sasuke didn't even give her a second glance and walked past her. Mikoto sighed sadly. Ever since she refused the council to make him graduate early, he barely spoke a word to her and mostly ignored her. She sighed and went to look for Naruto for the third time that day. She found him at the swing, and not finding the leaf protector anywhere, she understood he didn't pass. She was about to go to him when she saw the Chunin from earlier telling about some makeup test to pass and leave. She was about to go and tell him it was a lie, but stopped as heard one word leave his mouth before he disappeared in a swirl of leaves. Fool. Konoha's forest. Currently we find Naruto in a forest clearing with a shit-eating grin on his face, looking at the 3 scrolls in his hand. The gods must have finally stopped looking down on me if I got this lucky. Naruto thought out loud. What are you blabbering about now? A voice said from the back of his mind. So you finally woke up from your beauty sleep, thought Naruto sarcastically. Shut up. It's all your fault. That seal took a lot of my chakra. Naruto. What the hell were you thinking, stealing the forbidden scroll? Iruka yelled, unknowingly stopping the conversation between Naruto and the Kyuubi. Iruka-sensei, Mizuki-sensei told me I will pass if I learn a jutsu from the scroll. Are you here to test me? Said Naruto, sensing Mizuki nearby. What do you mean? Naru Irika tried to ask but had to stop to dodge a hail of kunai. Mizuki, what's the meaning of this? What does it look like, Irika? I am going to kill the demon and leave the village. Mizuki-sensei, what are you taking about? Naruto asked, faking innocence. Don't you dare talk to me, Kyubi. KQB. Mizuki, you are forbid. Shut up. Irika, don't talk like you don't hate him. Don't you want revenge for your family? That is the reason you failed him, isn't it? Join me, Irika, you will get your revenge and will become rich by selling the scroll. Irika-sensei, do you really hate me? Irika gulped. Even though he knew Naruto wasn't the Kyubi, he was unable to move on his parents' deaths. He knew what he had to do. I'm sorry, Naruto, Irika said, taking out a kunai. Wise choice, Irika. Mizuki smirked, also taking a kunai and landing beside him, and before Naruto could react they stabbed him in his heart, and Irika watched guiltily as life faded from his eyes. Mikoto, after finding an unconscious Hokage with blood leaking out of his nose in his office, quickly tried to track Naruto before anyone else could find him. She just arrived at the clearing only to see Naruto get stabbed by the academy instructors. Naruto! She screamed as her heart broke. She was about to go there when some placed a hand on her shoulder to stop her. She turned around to see who dared to stop her, only to see Naruto. What? Confused, Mikoto turned around halfway when... Boom! Blood and body parts sprayed everywhere as the once traitors turned into fish meat. Exploding clone. Naruto answered her unasked question. Mikoto nodded in understanding as she watched him retrieve the scroll from behind a bush. Naruto turned around only to see Mikoto with her head down as tears began to flow down her eyes. Naruto tried to ask what's wrong before he was glomped by a hysteric Mikoto. Don't scare me like that again. I thought I was going to lose you. Mikoto cried as tears began to fall on Naruto's head. Get your paws off him, Uchiha bitch. Naruto signed as Kyubi again went to one of her possessive streaks. He ignored the Kyubi and tried to hug Mikoto back, trying to comfort her. After calming Mikoto down, they began their way back to the tower. Naruto? You already knew about the Kyubi, didn't you? Mikoto asked, breaking the silence. Naruto just nodded, not looking at her. Mikoto wanted to ask about Kurenai but decided against it as they went to Hokage Tower. Sarutobi signed. He had just promoted Naruto to genin and gave him an A-rank mission pay for stopping the traitors and retrieving the forbidden scroll. He cursed, knowing it meant more paperwork to him. Lord Hokage, we got a message from the mist, said a chunin entering his office. Sarutobi motioned for him to leave after taking the scroll. He lit his pipe and opened the scroll and began reading it before the whole village heard a... What? Meitarumi, the dual bloodline holder and the leader of the Kiri rebellion forces in the bloodline civil war in the village hidden in the mist, was on her way to Konoha. Lady Mei, do you think they will aid us? Mei looked at her second in command and her long-time subordinate who had asked her the question. I don't know, Ao. But they are said to be very fond of bloodlines, and the third Hokage is said to be a very kind man, but we can't sure if they are willing to aid someone outside the village. We can only hope that they will. I hope so too, Lady Mei. I hope so too. The person now identified as Ao thought out loud. The bloodline war was started by their once kind and now tyrant Mizuki Yugura a few years ago. Yugura had somehow developed a deep hatred for bloodline users overnight. Her parents along with many others were killed, no more like butchered, that would be the correct word for it. Mei had to grow up in a land of continuous war and a life on the run to escape from the Yugura's forces. At the age of 22 years, Meitarumi was as deadly as her beauty. She could probably give any Kage throughout the elemental nations a run for their money due to the mastery that she held over her bloodlines, the lava and boil. It was no wonder that her kin placed their entire trust on her shoulder, making her become the leader of the rebellion forces. But even with all her achievements as a prodigy, they were not enough to defeat Yugura. She didn't possess the endless stamina or the unlimited chakra supply that were present in a Jinchuriki. But unfortunately for her and her forces, Yugura had them both, as he was the Jinchuriki of the three-tailed turtle, the Sanbai. Yugura had taken complete control over the Sanbai's power, ready to use at his disposal, and was the final obstacle between her forces and freedom, but they were running out of supplies and reinforcements as Yugura himself had entered the battle. Hence they were coming to Konoha to get some much-needed help. Mei's thought process came to halt as they arrived at the gates. Kotetsu and Izumo, the eternal Chunin duo, were having another one of their guard duties, which only they seemed to have every day. Were looking at the entrance when they saw two figures coming near the gates. Halt! State your name and business for coming to Konoha. Izumo stated as he watched the pair of an older man and a beautiful woman come to a stop at the gate. My name is Ao and this is Lady Tarimime. We are from Kiri and we wish to speak with your Hokage as quickly as possible, said Ao, taking a step forward. Kotetsu and Izumo looked at each other for any ideas on what they should do when an ANBU appeared in a swirl of leaves. Follow me, the ANBU said monotonously to Mei and Ao. Ao looked at Mei as she nodded at him to stay, and she began to follow the ANBU to the Hokage Tower. Abandoned training ground. Gubrah. Thud. The training dummy broke and fell to the ground, revealing the human container of the strongest-tailed beast. Naruto huffed and took deep breaths to slow down the adrenaline coursing through his body. Naruto loosened his stance and looked around the training ground he had found some time ago. It was situated on the other side of the lake, present at the memorial stone in Training Ground 7. Nobody came to train here because it was relatively dense with trees when compared to the others. But it was also close to the lake and he could easily blend with the trees even in his orange jumpsuit if someone was to give a surprise visit. Naruto looked up the sky, seeing to see the sun rising. He began to walk towards the lake to catch some much-needed breakfast. The now 10-year-old began to muse over the things that has happened since he met the Kyuubi 3 years ago. Flashback. A lot had changed in the 3 years since that fateful day of his meeting with the Kyuubi. After that, Naruto had decided to take his training with renewed vigor. He had little doubt that the instructors in the academy didn't give a damn about him and tried everything they could to stop the demon from regaining its power. He first thought was to sneak into the ninja library, but he crushed the thought after going over it. If he got caught or even got suspicious at by the ANBU that were protecting him, then he would be knocking at the death's door. So, Naruto did the only thing that he could do by himself, and that was to train physically. He made a heavy workout schedule to improve his strength, speed, and increase his already unlimited stamina by leaps and bounds, pushing his body to its limits each day. He didn't use any training weights since they may hinder his growth at his age, so he trained himself to exhaustion. His attendance at the academy became less and less since he didn't see reason to go to a place where people always tried to find a reason to send him out of the class. He more like visited the academy from time to time to take a break and pull a prank or two. Kyuubi hadn't talked to him or tried to make a contact with him so far, but he could care less. He just didn't want anything to do with a prideful and stuck-up demoness. Unknown to Naruto, Kyuubi was trying to figure out what happened that day. Naruto intrigued her to no end, aside from the fact that Naruto refused her power. He had used the power of a being that was powerful than her. She doubted even that Naruto knew about what he did that day. He both excited her and made her fear him. Because for a being like her, the one and only thing that mattered to her was power. She feared him because the power belonged to a being that was more powerful than her, and was excited because if she found a way to make that power hers, then she would even be more powerful. Since she had nothing to do except sit in a sewer all day or night, or whatever it was, she began to study Naruto's body to find the source of that power, and interestingly enough she found nothing. Nothing that would somehow relate her container to the being that she didn't want to say the name. Damn it! How can there be nothing? Kyuubi said, irritated as she began to pace around in the cage. She absent-mindedly looked at cage bars that held her, and then it hit her like a ton of bricks. How can I be so stupid? It was in front of me the whole time. Kyuubi face-palmed as she looked up at the cage where that shitty piece of paper that held her in was. She sighed, knowing from experience that she had no chance to do anything. She was stupid enough to try and break it that one time when she woke up just after the ceiling, and the results were not pretty. She shivered just thinking about it. A furry fox was always better than a fried fox. So, she decided it was high time to meet her container again. Naruto woke up in a sewer for the second time of the many times that he will come to the place in his life. He walked towards the cage and looked in to see Kyuubi tapping her foot waiting for him. I told you, I'm not interested in making any deals with you, Naruto said, seeming to have no effect at the sight of the ever-naked Kyuubi with her arms folded under her impressive bust. Grr. Just tell me why you don't want to use my power? Kyuubi asked, irritated, making Naruto sigh. Look, I want to get my revenge on the village under my own power. If I use your power, then the villagers will only see me as you, the Kyuubi. But if I destroy them with my own power, they will know they brought this up on themselves, said Naruto, grinning darkly at the end. Even Kyuubi had shiver run up her spine at seeing the grin. It did make sense in some sick sort of way, but even if she can't make Naruto use her power, she had to at least get him on her side since her life was now connected to him by the seal. Fine. But I still want to help you in your training or whatever that you monkeys do, Kyuubi offered, huffing, making Naruto frown. But why would you do that? I don't understand why you're so openly trying to help me. If Naruto learned one thing from his life, it was people just won't give anything just because they can. There was always a catch. It's rather simple, you see. Until I figure out a way to escape the seal, If you points at Naruto die, then I points at herself die as well. I'm still too young and beautiful for such a thing as death. Naruto's sweat dropped at the final statement, but his survival instincts screamed at him to not make any comment on her age. But he could understand that she didn't want to die, and if it would help him to stronger quickly, then who was he to refuse? Alright, but how can you help me with my training? Naruto asked after a movement of thought. I'm the great Kyuubi. I know everything. Kyuubi snorted. Paying little mind to her boasting, Naruto thought over what to ask. Okay. So can you teach me any jutsu? I don't know any except the academy ones, Naruto asked the Kyuubi. Kyuubi just looked at Naruto strangely. What? Did I say something wrong? What's a jutsu? Naruto face planted at hearing her question why you don't what a jutsu is. What happened to the all-knowing great Kyuubi? Hey. I am great. And if you're taking about the monkey tricks they used on me when I attacked, then why would I bother to learn such silly things when I could crush them with my paws? Kyuubi stated, crossing her arms under her bust with her nose held high. Naruto's eyes were rapidly twitching. She got some serious attitude issues, and his earlier thoughts of getting stronger quickly were being crushed just as quickly. He just sighed and shook his head. You know what, just forgot about this whole incident. I'll just go and do things my way, and you can go sleep in your cage, said Naruto as he turned around to walk away. Wait. I can still help. I can tell you the reason why I attacked Konoha. Kyuubi blustered out quickly, trying to think of any reason for him to stay longer. Now this really piqued Naruto's interest. You mean there is actually a reason for it? No. Wait, let me guess. Attacking and chasing a village filled with mortal monkeys is just beneath you, isn't it? Exactly. No, you're thinking like me, Kyuubi said, nodding to herself. Naruto again sweat dropped. So what is the reason behind your attack? Kyuubi, seeing she finally had Naruto's interest, answered, you see, you're not my first container. You mean you were sealed before this? Naruto asked, and the Kyuubi nodded sagely. Yes. In fact, you're my third container. I don't remember how it happened, but I was dragged into fight between a monkey who could grow trees and another monkey with red eyes, and then the tree-growing monkey sealed me into some woman. I don't know who she was. Her seal was too strong for me to contact her. After that I was sealed into some other woman. Her name was Kushina Uzumaki. I only meet her once when she came to ask my power, but then someone broke the seal and I saw the same eyes as the red-eyed monkey, and next thing I know is that I woke up in here. Naruto ignored the weird comical hand signs Kyuubi used as she described and thought over the things she said. If he had to guess correctly, the first monkey was the first Hokage. Who knew those boring history lessons did have their uses? But still, that meant the Kyuubi had been part of Konoha since the foundation of the leaf, and he couldn't that there was a woman that had the same last name as him. But what interested him mostly was the red-eyed monkey who had the power to control the Kyuubi. Do you know the name of the person who controlled you? I think it was Madara Uchiha. The Kyuubi spat out the name like it left a bad taste in her mouth. Now that raised even more questions in his head, but Naruto decided it was beyond him right now. Running a hand through his hair, Naruto looked at the Kyuubi, who was on her heels waiting for his reply in excitement. It was like she was trying to impress him. Naruto signed he could actually relate to the Kyuubi. She was alone since Konoha's foundation, and maybe even before that. He doubted she actually had any interaction with anyone before that. Unlike with the old man, he could tell the Kyuubi told him the truth, well, at least what she knew. If it was true, then she was the one who suffered the most throughout the whole ordeal. She was more like a spoiled brat, and even if Naruto wouldn't admit it, he needed a friend right now in his life, and the Kyuubi needed one more so than him. I guess it wouldn't hurt to give it a try, even if she is a stuck-up demoness, Naruto thought, and so the strange bond between the demon and her container began. Flashback end. Kyuubi and Naruto had become close as the years went by, but unfortunately she wasn't that much of a help when it came to his training, and he lacked a good arsenal of jutsu. Why don't you just ask that Uchiha bitch to train you? Kyuubi said in his mind as Naruto washed his face at the lake. So you're finally done, I see? A voice interrupted from behind as Naruto was about to reply to the Kyuubi, making her growl. Naruto turned around to source of the voice, and his eyes meet those of a smiling older woman who had been a friend to him for the past 2 years. Mikoto-chan, what are you doing here this early? Naruto asked as he gave her a small smile and began to walk towards her. I just thought you would like some breakfast? The Uchiha clan had said, holding a box in front of her. Naruto's stomach growled at the mention of the breakfast, making the raven-haired beauty giggle. They sat down at one of trees together and began to eat quietly. It was nothing special, just a simple dish, but they both didn't mind it in the least. You know, Naruto, this is the same tree where we first meet, isn't it? Mikoto said, breaking the silence between them. Naruto looked around and realized it indeed was the same place where they first meet. Flashback 2 years ago. It was week after the Uchiha massacre, and Naruto was making his way to his training ground. Those red-eyed fools got what they deserved. Kyubi cheered. She apparently had a sore spot for the Uchiha. I still think they got off easy. I would have made them suffer before killing them, but I guess you can't always get what you want, Naruto thought, since he had his own personal experience with the Uchiha. Naruto stopped and immediately got on alert as he sensed a new presence in the training ground. He began to look around and spotted a raven-haired woman sitting under a tree with her head buried in her knees. Naruto could tell the woman was crying from the way her shoulders shook. So, he carefully made his way to her. "Miss, are you okay?" Naruto asked as he got closer to her, making the woman look up with tears flowing down her cheeks. Naruto at first glance recognized the woman as Sasuke's mother, and that meant she was an Uchiha. Mikoto looked up to see the blonde demon container of the village. "Why yes," Mikoto replied, her voice cracking as tried to rub the tear stains off her face while looking away from him. "You can talk about it if you want," Naruto offered as he sat down beside her. At first she didn't say anything and just tried to ignore him, but soon the flood broke as she latched onto him with her dear life and broke down in his arms. She began to tell him how her own son had killed her entire clan except her and Sasuke, and how she had to watch her husband get killed by her son. Naruto didn't say anything and just held her as she cried herself to sleep in his arms. After Mikoto woke up, she felt a lot better since the massacre and thanked Naruto before she went home. After that, Mikoto began to visit him every day just to talk to him, and they quickly became friends, and Naruto was happy he made his first friend in the real world, oblivious to emotions of the red-headed demoness inside him was feeling. Kyubi didn't know why, but she didn't like Naruto talking to Mikoto. At first she tried to ignore it, but it only got worse as the days went by, and she didn't like these feelings one bit. At first she just wanted to use Naruto, but with time he became something she never had in her long life, a friend. She began to enjoy the time she spent with Naruto greatly. And with him and Mikoto becoming so close so quickly, she felt threatened that the Uchiha was taking him away from her. Even if she looked like human, she was and always will be a fox in both her body and mind. And nobody dared to take something that belonged to a fox. And Naruto was by all means hers. Naruto was about to sleep when he was forcibly pulled into his mind, but luckily his body fell on the bed. Naruto knew this was coming. He did notice Kyubi acting differently ever since he met Mikoto, and he had an idea of what it was, but decided that it was something Kyubi had to go through herself, and that she would talk to him when she was ready. That was the reason. He was not surprised that he found a very irritated-looking Kyubi in her cage, or when she bluntly said, "Naruto, I don't want you to talk to her." But he was expecting that, but he still tried to play innocent. "Talk to her? Talk to whom?" Naruto asked, making Kyubi growl. Growling. "You know who I'm talking about. I don't want you to talk to that Uchiha bitch." Kyubi spat out the name like it left a sore taste in her mouth. "Oh my! What is this I'm hearing? Is the almighty Kyubi by any chance jealous of a monkey?" Naruto teased, making Kyubi growl even more. "I'm not jealous," the Kyubi roared. "Just admit it, you are." Naruto smirked, crossing his arms at the back of his head. Before Naruto could even react, Kyubi's aura flared and a chakra tail wrapped around Naruto and got pulled towards the cage until he was face to face with her with their noses touching from between the bars. "I told you. I am not jealous." Each word that left her mouth was stressed more so than the previous. Naruto could only nod, actually scared of her. Kyubi dropped Naruto unceremoniously on the ground of his mindscape and turned her back to him, flashing him her cute backside. "I just don't like her," the Kyubi huffed, making Naruto sign. "Look, Kyubi, I can't just go and stop talking to people just because you don't like them, and you know there are only very few people who show a genuine interest in me." But the Kyubi began, but was cut off by Naruto. "Look, I can understand how you feel. I promise I will make it up to you, alright." Flashback end. Naruto even today regretted making that promise. She somehow convinced him to turn the inside of her cage into a giant bedroom filled with fox plushies. It got her quiet down except the occasional bitch comment. "Naruto? Naruto, are you alright? You kind of spaced out?" Mikoto asked, sounding concerned. It's nothing. Just thinking, that's all," Naruto said, waving his hand off as she nodded. "You know, Naruto, you can still come live at the compound with me and Sasuke. It's mostly empty anyway," Mikoto asked him after a moment, hoping he would agree this time. Naruto smiled at her. It was not the first time she had asked him this. "I'm sorry, Mikoto-chan, I like my apartment even if it is kind of run down, and it just wouldn't be the same if I live at your place." Naruto lied. He knew the council would start a fuss if the demon suddenly started to live at the Uchiha compound. Even if she was a clan head, she didn't have that much numbers to back her up, and the only reason the council hadn't tried anything on her was because they had Sasuke. It was because of the same reason he had never asked her to train him. That and Kyubi wouldn't stop her bitching if I began to live in the same house as her, he thought. "Hey! I heard that!" Kyubi yelled, which he just ignored. Mikoto sighed sadly for not being able to convince him. They both finished their breakfast and made their way out of the training ground. "So, what are you going to do today?" Mikoto asked as they entered the main district. She noticed Naruto grinning as the people began to glare at him, but didn't make any comment, knowing it was his way of coping with the hatred of the village. "At least he doesn't do that around me," Mikoto thought happily. "I was planning on visiting the old man to get my allowance." Naruto answered her earlier question, making Mikoto nod as they both parted ways. Mikoto making her way to the clan compound and Naruto on the path that leads to the Hokage Tower. On his way to Naruto thought about the seal he had made a few weeks ago. It all happened a year ago, when he began to search the dumps for scrolls. He remembered seeing many scrolls at waste thrown by the clan when he was a kid searching for food after the orphanage kicked him out. But he didn't know about their importance back then. So, he tried his luck and sneaked his way into the garbage area of the clans. It was only at the end of the day that his luck turned around. It was in the Hyuga compound that he found an old scroll on the caged bird seal that the Hyuga used on the branch family members. It was probably an experimental version of it, when they first made the seal. But it did pique Naruto's interest on the topic. Since even though so mighty Kyubi had been defeated due to sealing not once, not twice but 3 times. Fortunately or unfortunately, as one would look at it, the old man Hokage visited Naruto on the same week and gifted him a book on the basics of sealing. It freaked out Naruto so much that he didn't come out of the house for a whole week. But it did make sense. He may have wanted him to follow on his father's footsteps. But the end result made it more than worth it. He was able to make his own and even better version of slave seal the Hyuga had. Now he just needed a guinea pig to test it out on. Hokage Tower. Naruto arrived at the tower sneaking in from the secretary, and then entered the office in his usual way, and that was by kicking the door and scaring the shit out of the Hokage and his ANBU. "Naruto! How many times did I tell you to knock at the door instead kicking it?" The Hokage refrained. Sorry about that, Grandpa, I couldn't help myself," replied Naruto, grinning sheepishly and scratching the back of his head. Sarutobi sighed and shook his head at the lame answer. He moved a hand inside his desk and pulled out an envelope filled with money and handed it to Naruto. "I was informed that you were not attending the academy regularly? Mind telling me the reason for it, Naruto-kun?" Sarutobi asked, making Naruto pout. "Oh, but Grandpa, those academy classes are boring. They only teach us those stupid history lessons." Sarutobi was about to give a brief lecture on the importance of history when the secretary came in. "Hokage-sama, a messenger from Kiri has arrived to speak to you," the woman told him after she took a moment to glare at Naruto. Sarutobi nodded at her to send the messenger in. He was about to tell Naruto to leave but stopped when he saw him reading some book sitting near the chair at the shelf. The door opened and a young woman with long red hair tied in a high knot at the top walked in. Sarutobi took a moment ogle at her body but forcibly stopped himself as he noticed her glaring daggers at him. Even Naruto had to admit she was easily one of the beautiful women he had ever seen, and only Kyubi topped her in that department. "Damn right I do," Kyubi said with her usual pride. Sarutobi regained his composure and opted to a more serious mode. "Greetings, Hokage-sama. My name is Mei Terumi," Mei greeted after he stopped staring at her, also briefly noticing there was some blonde kid in the room. "Don't worry about the pleasantries, Terumi-san. You must be here for important business if you came here all the way from Kiri?" Sarutobi said, opting to his Hokage tone. Mei went straight to the point. "I came here to ask for your aid in the bloodline war that is occurring in Kiri. I am part of the bloodline rebels, and the only thing that's stopping us from whining is Yagura. We are unable to defeat him as he has full control over Sanbai. So, please, I beg you, if you help, we guarantee to repay your kindness once the war is over and Kiri becomes stable," Mei begged with a low bow at the end. Sarutobi took a poof of smoke from and briefly looked at Naruto at the mention of another Jinchuriki and mentally sighed in relief seeing him too immersed in his book, and looked at Mei, who was still bowing to him, and told her to relax. "Wouldn't it have been better if your leader came for this discussion?" the aged Hokage asked, taking another poof from his pipe. If Mei was angered, then she didn't show it. "I am the commander of bloodline rebels," Mei stated calmly, making Sarutobi almost choke on the smoke as he got from shocked to skeptical. You. But aren't you a little young? May was about to give him a piece of her mind, but someone else beat her to it. Grandpa. How can you say that just because she is young? I'm just a 10-year-old and I can knock you out cold with a nosebleed. Naruto yelled, making Sarutobi sweat bullets since he was in presence of a woman, and May confused on how could he do that but didn't ask. I'm sorry, Terumi-san, it was inappropriate of me to say that, I was just surprised. Sarutobi apologized since underestimating an opponent only lead to death in the ninja world. May nodded and turned around, thanked Naruto for defending her, only to see him standing in front of her with his hand raised towards her. Hi. My name Naruto Uzumaki, the future Hokage. Nice to meet you, Mei-chan. I'm sure you would win the war without a sweat. Naruto babbled, not even taking break to breath. May smiled at the innocent cute little kid and decided to humor him and shook his hand. Nice to meet you to Naruto-san, and thank you for your support, May said as she ruffled his hair, making him pout. Sarutobi cleared his throat. Naruto-kun, I think you should go to the academy even if it is boring. I have some important matters to speak with Terumi-san here. Fine. But I'll just go train on my own. Bye, Mei-chan, Naruto said as he ran out of the door. Mei-chan, May muttered as it was the first time anyone referred her as such before she turned to the Hokage to continue their discussion. As soon as Naruto got out of the tower, he took off to the roofs. He couldn't believe his luck. If he wasn't the container of the Kyuubi, he might as well be the luckiest man in the world. He was only planning on to listen to the conversation so he could use any information in the future. But he was shocked when he heard about another Jinchuriki. He could only thank his years of experience and acting like an idiot to not show any reaction to that one. I just found a perfect test subject for the seal, Naruto thought, giving out a small grin. Why did you do that? And why her? Kyuubi asked, curious as she saw the whole thing. Naruto giggled excitedly, which make the Kyuubi on edge. Didn't you hear what she said? She and her forces are close to winning the war in Kiri. It is most likely that she will become the next Mizukage. If I have her, and if I make sure she will win, then I will have a whole hidden village at my fingers. But didn't you hear that they were fighting against the Jinchuriki? How are you going to give her the power to defeat one? Kyuubi asked. It was natural for her to be confused. How was he going to give her power that he didn't have in the first place? That's easy, I'm going to give her your power. Oh. That's genius, Kyuubi complimented, crossing her arms as Naruto waited for the outburst that was to come. Hey! But why would I give her my power, and don't tell me you're planning on using the seal to do it. You haven't even tested it. Kyuubi said, a little worried. Even thinking about seals made her head spin. Then we just have to wait and see. Naruto cackled madly, getting giddy like child that had new toy, and made his way to his home to wait for his guest. At Konoha Gates. May sighed sadly as she and Ao made their way out of Konoha. Things hadn't gone the way as she would have liked. That old perverted coot had refused to give her any help, saying they were still weak since the Kyuubi's attack. The least he could have done was give some supplies for her troops, but that slimy bastard didn't give a damn thing except his best regards to win the war. Jumping through the trees, May thoughts randomly went to the cute boy she met at the tower who had wished her luck. I will have to meet him again someday, May thought as a small smile appeared on her face. It was then that she felt a burning sensation in the palm of her hand, making her stop in her tracks. What's the matter, Lady May? Ao asked, stopping ahead, looking back at her. May looked at her palm. It was glowing as a seal slowly formed, and then there was a poof of smoke. May looked to see a scroll in her palm, surprising her. She didn't even notice when the seal was placed on her. She cautiously opened the scroll and read it. May Terumi. Come here if you want the power to defeat Yagura. May frowned as she looked at the directions that showed how to sneak into the village. Lady May, it's obviously a trap. You are not planning on going, are you? Ao said. From his years of experience, he would have to be a retard to not know this was a trap. I know that, Ao. But even if there is slight chance that this is true, then it could prevent a lot of unnecessary bloodshed, and if I don't come by tomorrow morning, leave without me, May ordered before melting the scroll and disappearing into the forest. Ao just shook his head and signed back. In my days. Konoha. May was easily able to sneak into Konoha and was able to arrive at the location given by dawn. She looked to see a rundown apartment that was miraculously still somehow standing. Observing a bit, May entered the only floor that had the lights on and made her way in through the window, only to notice that it was bedroom. You know it's impolite to enter someone's house without knocking first, May-chan. A voice May recognized from earlier said from behind her. You! What are you doing here? And how did you sneak up on me? May asked as she saw the same blonde boy she had met in the tower. Well, for your information, this is where I live and I outrun NBU every day, so it's no big deal for me, Naruto said cheerfully, making Mei even more confused, but then the memory of them shaking hands flashed in her mind. Did you put that seal on me when we shook hands at the tower? Mei asked, getting her guard up. Even if he was kid, she couldn't afford underestimate him if he was able to get inside her defense twice. So I was right, you are different from the others, Naruto said, dropping his act, making Mei even tenser. Who are you? Mei asked sharply, making Naruto chuckle darkly. Who am I? Well, I'm many things, but only thing that you should know for now is that I'm a Jinchuriki, Naruto declared. The seriousness in his voice was enough to believe him. Why, you are a Jinchuriki? Mei asked, shocked and somewhat afraid. Yes. I'm the container of the nine-tailed demon fox. The Kyuubi, Naruto stated, making Mei took a step back in shock. Yagura was a monstrous force in the battlefield, and he only had the Sanbai, and she didn't even want to know what the container of the strongest tailed beast can do. Don't worry, I don't plan on harming you, at least not yet. Naruto tried to make her relax but had the opposite effect. Don't mock me. You are still a kid. You can't possibly be strong enough to defeat me. Even with the splutter in her voice, Mei stood her ground, ready to fight if she had to. Naruto merely smirked at her defiance. You are still not comprehending the situation you put yourself in, in? Seeing her hesitation, Naruto continued, you are completely true. As of now, I am physically unable to defeat you. Mei smirked, her confidence growing, but her face paled at what Naruto said next. But you should have thought more before sneaking into a foreign ninja village. You must have heard, Konoha is famous for its various bloodlines, and I have no doubt they have more than pleasant ways of acquiring them from you, if they were to capture you trying to abduct their Jinchuriki. Mei looked at him with disgust at such an intuition. Her earlier thoughts of him being innocent were diminishing. So what is it going to be, Mei-chan? All it will take from me is a flare of my chakra and you would be wishing you were dead. Mei took a step back, her eyes shimmering in fear for a second, realizing there was nothing she could do. Do I even have an option? Good, her defeated tone made Naruto grin. Mei Terumi, I have a proposition for you, and if you agree I will give you the power you need to defeat this Yagura. Naruto offered as the redhead turned serious. Why would you give me your power, and what do you want in return? I have my own reasons for helping you, and as for what I want, Naruto just pointed his finger at her. Mei looked around when she saw him pointing his finger, and her eyes widened when she realized what he meant and immediately covered herself. I don't fucking believe this. First that old coot you call a Hokage, and now a 10-year-old. What the hell is this place? The village of the hidden perverts? Mei yelled, completely forgetting her earlier fear of him. A flash of a silver-haired Anbu went through Naruto's head. No, more like open perverts, Naruto muttered. What? Nothing, it doesn't matter, and I didn't mean it like that. I will give you the power you need, and in return you will be my slave and do what I tell you to when the time comes, Naruto explained to her. Mei took a moment to think all this over. It wouldn't be so bad if he really could give her the power to defeat Yagura, but it wasn't like she had an option anyway. But even if I find a way to escape, there is no guarantee that we will defeat Yagura. Even if they find some way to defeat Yagura, a lot of people will surely die in the process, and my people put all of their hopes on me. She wouldn't let them down. Even if she had to give away her life, she wouldn't let her comrades suffer. Can you really give me the power to defeat Yagura? Mei asked in confirmation, and Naruto nodded at her. Then fine. I don't care what you do to me as long as it saves the lives of my people. Mei closed her eyes at the end for the pain and suffering she thought that were to come, but she didn't expect being pulled down nor the feel of someone else's warm lips on hers. Mei opened her eyes in shock and got even more shocked as she saw it was Naruto that was kissing her. Mei was about to push away when she felt foreign chakra enter her system and stopped. You taste like strawberry? Naruto said, pulling away after a few minutes. Mei blushed. Why did you do that, even though that felt good? She would be considered a pedophile if someone finds out. He was still a fucking 10-year-old, for God's sake. I needed direct contact to send some chakra so you would survive when I apply the seal, Naruto explained as he began to go through a set of complicated hand seals. What seal? Mei asked before Naruto appeared behind in a burst of speed, and before she could react he bit down on her neck. It was the same seal Naruto had made by using the caged bird seal as a base. But instead of activating at the user's will, it activated when the person tried or thought of anything against the castor. It could give a mild twitch to excruciating pain until the person died, depending on how strong the emotion was. It also connected a link between his chakra and the person. It was through this that he planned on giving her the Kyuubi's power, but it was only theoretical. Naruto, something's wrong. Kyubi all but screeched. She was trying to channel the necessary amount of chakra from the seal, but the chakra was being absorbed at a faster rate. Naruto quickly pulled back at hearing the Kyubi, but he immediately felt the drain of his chakra being sucked out, and he blanked out. Mei could only open her mouth in a silent scream as Naruto bit her down. She gritted her teeth trying to fight against the pain, but then her eyes became glistened as she began to see memories that were not her own. It was now midnight. All the streets in Konoha were now barren as a slight breeze washed over once in a while. Mei Terumi was sitting in the bed in Naruto's apartment. In her arms was, and still unconscious was, Naruto. She was gently running a hand through his hair, smiling affectionately at his sleeping face. She felt like she had known him her whole life, and she kind of did after seeing his every memory until he applied the seal on her. She wondered if she could blame Yagura if his life as a Jinchuriki was the same as Naruto's. But then shook the thought away since she was far too gone to back down now. Mei's eyes turned warm as she looked at Naruto's sleeping face. She parted a few bangs from his face and bent down to kiss his forehead as she made a silent oath. I promise I'll do anything to make you happy after I'm done with this whole thing. It's a promise of a lifetime, she thought, vowing as she disappeared into the shadows. Next morning, looking at the rising sun, Aol was begrudgingly about to leave when he spotted a figure making its way towards him. What happened, Lady Mei? Was it really a trap? Aol asked, sighing in relief at seeing her. Mei didn't give a reply as she just looked back at where Konoha was, but instead of her normal emerald green eyes, they were red with vertical slits. Hokage Tower. It was the day before the graduated students at the academy were told to attend it for the final time to meet their Jonin senseis. All of the Jonin and special Jonin except one were now standing in front of the Hokage. Yo! Kakashi Hatake, who was considered the epidemic of laziness by the fellow Jonin, greeted, looking around arriving via Shushin. You intentionally told me to come 3 hours early, didn't you? He asked, looking at the aged leader. Sarutobi ignored him and addressed the rest of the gathering. Let's start off since everyone has arrived. I assume you all know about the incident that happened a week ago? Sarutobi asked, taking a puff of smoke from his pipe. Everyone present started murmuring among them. It was now the hottest topic among the ninjas of Konoha. Wait. What happened a week ago? All conversation in the room stopped, and everyone turned to see who asked the question. Kurenai had immediately gone on a mission since her little incident with Naruto at the rooftop at the graduation day. She needed time to think about her situation, but mainly she wanted to stay away from Naruto to have some alone time to herself. So, she went to the Hokage and took a C-rank mission to deliver some scroll to Grass Country. She just arrived a few hours back and she only had time to take a shower before being summoned by the Hokage. You don't know what happened? Her longtime friend and special Jonin Anko asked, surprised. Kurenai shook her head. I just arrived back from my mission few hours ago. I apologize for not informing you about this, Kurenai-san, but I will fill you in. Sarutobi addressed Kurenai, but all the other Jonin also began to listen in intently as well, since it was one thing hearing the rumors and another listening from their village leader. After Naruto failed the graduation test, Mizuki, a academy instructor, approached him and tricked Naruto into stealing the forbidden scroll, saying it was some sort of make-up test, and he would pass if he learned a jutsu from the scroll, while the other Jonin tried not to snicker at that since it was hilarious for anyone to believe such a story. Kurenai gulped since she was the only one who knew that Naruto wouldn't be so easy to trick. Sarutobi continued, and he managed to steal the scroll due to unfortunate circumstances, and I was unable to see what really happened through the Hokage crystal. Sarutobi blushed, remembering how he was knocked out, and only woke up in time to see end of the battle. But from the report I have from one Mikoto Uchiha who was at the scene, Mizuki somehow convinced another instructor Irika into joining him, and they both stabbed Naruto. They stabbed him. Is he okay? Kurenai cut him off, concerned and terrified, while many of them present wondered why the Ice Queen was worried about the demon brat. Even though Naruto was the source of her recent mental trauma, she did like the boy through the time she trained him for 3 months and didn't want to see him hurt. She wasn't that kind of a person. Sarutobi waved his hand in front of his face to wave off her concerns. He's fine. From what I saw and from the report, Naruto managed to switch himself with a shadow clone and made it explode using the clone explosion technique, and in his rage he put too much chakra into the technique, and both the traitors were nothing but blood and bones. The room was silent for a second, and then the murmurs began anew. It was not every day that you hear the news of an academy student learning 2 Jonin level jutsu in a few hours and then managed to not only beat but kill 2 Chunin veterans using them. Kurenai's heart skipped when she heard that, and she paled. He killed them. She knew Naruto wasn't naive enough to make such a silly mistake. Both of them died because Naruto had every intention of killing them, and he did just that without a second thought. He could kill me as well. He would kill me without remorse if I betray him. Kurenai thought, terrified of the consequences of the slave seal that was placed on her. Wow. He really must have some set of talented balls to have done that. Enko whistled, addressing most of their thoughts, and Kurenai breathed in relief and mentally thanked her friend for distracting her thought process. Sarutobi cleared his throat to get everyone's attention. Now that you all know what really happened, we can move on to the team placements this year. Please step forward if you have any personal interests. Everyone looked at the top jonin, namely Kakashi, Kurenai and Asuma, and waited for them to make their claim. Asuma immediately took a step forward. I would like to have the next generation Inoshikacho as my team. They already know each other well because of their parents, and it would be easy for them to work together as a team and follow in their parents' footsteps. Sarutobi nodded in agreement. He was also among the same line of thinking, and he agreed to the request as no one objected. Not missing a beat, this time it was Kakashi who came in front with his book in hand, the whole time making every female in the room glare at him. I would like to request Uchiha Sasuke and Naruto in my team. They developed a rivalry of some sorts, and being in a team together may develop their bond and drive them to get stronger to prove themselves to each other. Sarutobi couldn't agree with the logic more, but he was expecting an objection to this one. That's why he was surprised he didn't get any. Are you okay with this, Kurenai? I thought you would want to have Naruto on your team. Kurenai mentally cursed the Hokage for bringing the attention to her, as everyone was staring at her, curious on why would the Ice Queen would show an interest on the dead last. If anyone had asked the same question a week ago, she would have jumped at the chance to have Naruto on her team. But Kurenai was terrified to have him in her team with where she ended up in their last two encounters. She quickly tried to rack her brain for a reason and spoke as professionally as she could. I agree with Kakashi's reasoning, Hokage-sama, and it would do good to him if he got to know more people, and I think I would have my hands full with Hinata. Kurenai mentally patted her back when the Hokage bought on her reasoning and signed when everyone began to place their own request on students, taking the attention off her. Enko caught Kurenai's eye and narrowed her eyes. You're hiding something, aren't you, Kurenai? I will not rest until I found out your secret, Enko thought with a smirk. Academy? The students were talking among them. It was their last day at the academy before they become fully fledged ninja of Konoha. Naruto silently made his way to his usual seat, his protector with the leaf insignia tied to his forehead. He wanted to find out how long it will take for the others to notice that he was there, when a voice interrupted him. What are you doing here, Naruto? This class is only the graduated students, and you failed? Shikamaru asked, and everyone stopped their conversations, noticing that Naruto was indeed here. That was faster than I thought, Naruto thought, but he grinned on the outside. Oh. I'm not really here, Shikamaru. You see, this is just a dream. Shikamaru nodded and went back to sleep on his desk. Everyone, including Sasuke, had a massive sweat drop at seeing someone actually believe that. Naruto sat down in his seat with a shit-eating grin on his face, indirectly telling them he was not going to tell anything. Soon everyone began to settle in, with Sasuke brooding with his fangirls flocking at his side. Sasuke was discreetly sending curious glances at Naruto, wanting to know how he managed to pass. He was suspicious that something was going on since his mother was acting weird for the past week, and Naruto was the only who could get under her skin like that. Nearly 3 hours later. It had been a few hours since their final day at the academy started. The Hokage had come personally to announce the team placements. The students were informed that both their instructors weren't able to come due to some unfortunate incident. Naruto mentally thanked the old man for not bringing any attention towards him. After that, each of the Jonin instructors came to take their students. Only Team 7 and Team 8 remained in the room waiting for their Jonins to arrive. Where the hell are they? Naruto's crush yelled, tired of the waiting. Calm down, Sakura-chan. Something important must have come up if they didn't come. Naruto tried to reassure her. Don't tell me what to do, stupid. Sakura bonked Naruto on top of the head, making Kyuubi growl mentally, and Hinata to send a glare at her which went unnoticed by everyone but Naruto. Yeah, but don't you think we would have been informed if something did came up? Kiba more like said to himself, making everyone except Shino sign. Well, you can't tell even if he did sign and go back to their waiting. Naruto was curious as well. He had heard stories about Kakashi's legendary tardiness, but Kurenai always hated it when he was late. May she still needs time to come to terms with what happened. Kyuubi suggested, making Naruto sign. He didn't want to be forceful, but he would have to if she continues to avoid him. Kurenai indeed was at the academy. In fact, she was one of the few people along with Asuma who came early. But she couldn't make up her mind to go in there and face Naruto yet. So she decided to wait until Naruto leaves with his Jonin sensei, and then she will make some quick excuse for being late, and apologize to her team, and take them with her. It's a perfect plan. Kurenai thought, nodding to herself. But it was nearly an hour later that she realized the main flaw in her plan. Damn it! How did I forget that their Jonin is Kakashi? Kurenai cursed out loud. It's already late anyway, might as well stay until he comes. Kurenai sighed as she waited for Copycat, Air Dog Ninja. Nearly 2 hours later, Kurenai noticed a figure walking towards her with his trusted book in his hand. There was no mistaking it. By the way the female population on the streets were glaring, it had to be him. Kakashi Hatake, as usual, like every other of his usual meeting, was 3 hours late to meet his new students. Ignoring the hate-filled glares women sent his way, he lazily walked to the academy. As he neared the academy, he noticed someone else was there as well. Now this is unusual. What are you doing here, Kurenai? Kakashi asked lazily with his patent eye smile. Well, you see, I was waiting for you? Kurenai nervously told half-truth. Now she couldn't just go and say she didn't go in because she was afraid of facing a new genin alone, can she? For me? Kakashi asked, pointing a finger at himself. Kurenai nodded quickly, a little too quickly. Kakashi narrowed his eyes at Kurenai and took a moment to observe her posture and noticed that she seemed rather nervous than her normal self, and she was trying hard to hide it, but he was able to catch it. Kakashi blinked as a thought crossed his mind. Does she like me? Kakashi thought as he entered his little dream world. Kakaland? Kakashi was surrounded by every Ika book that was ever released. The books were spinning around him, the pages flapping, making giggling noises. Suddenly the books in front of him parted ways. Kurenai materialized with a string bikini that barely hid her assets and began to walk coyly towards him. Oh, Kakakun, let's make an Ika movie together? Kurenai purred as she latched onto him and began slowly run a finger on his chest. Real world. Kakashi? Kakashi? Are you okay? Your nose is bleeding. Kurenai asked, irritated. Huh? Oh. Sorry about that. Why don't we go in? Kakashi giggled as he walked past her. Pervert, she glared at his back. Come on, Dobe. You think a Jonin will feel for such a cheap trick? Kiba exclaimed as he watched Naruto put the duster on top of the door. You'll only know when you try it, dog breath. Ha! I'll only believe when I actually see. Kiba trailed off. Thud. Even Sakura stopped staring at Sasuke as everyone watched in surprise and fascination as the duster fell on top of a masked person's head as he poked it through the door, covering his head and hair in dust. What happened, Kakas? Kurenai trailed off and giggled as she saw the duster sticking out of Kakashi's head. Ha ha ha, everyone laughed except Sasuke, who smirked, and Shino, who corrected his glasses. My first impression is that I hate all of you, Kakashi said in his tardy way, showing no signs of anger. Ha! You deserved it for making us wait. Why were you late anyway? Naruto shouted. Well, you see, I was on my way when a black cat. That's enough, Kakashi. I doubt they want to hear any of your excuses. Kurenai cut him off. Why were you late, Kurenai-sensei? Hinata spluttered. I promise it won't happen again? Kurenai reassured her team, briefly glancing at Naruto, and saw him give her his foxy grin. So she is trying to avoid me, Naruto thought internally. Anyway, meet us at the rooftop. Kakashi's shoe shined away. Wait, Kurenai sighed as Kakashi didn't even ask her to come along. Teammate, meet me at the roof as well, Kurenai said, performing Shushin. Academy roof. Both Team 7 and Team 8 are now sitting at the rooftop along with their Jonin Kakashi and Kurenai. Well, why don't we introduce each other, like telling us about your likes, dislikes, hobbies and stuff like that, said Kakashi. Why don't you go first, Sensei, so we'll know what to say? Sakura asked, making Kakashi nod. I don't see why not. My name is Kakashi Hatake. I have some likes and I have some dislikes. I do have a hobby, and I have no goals, Kakashi said, making everyone face fault. Kurenai's eyes began to twitch at the introduction. Now she was getting a vague idea on why every team he took so far failed. What the hell was that? You only told us your name, Kiba yelled while Kakashi ignored him. Never mind about him, I will show you. My name is Kurenai Yuhi. I like my friends and making new genjutsu. I dislike rapists and perverts. Kurenai glared at Kiba when she caught him ogling at her, making him gulp, and my dream is to be the strongest genjutsu user among the elemental nations. Kurenai finished with conviction in her voice. I'm sure you will achieve it someday, Sensei, Naruto exclaimed with Hinata giving a slight nod. Why is he supporting me? Is this also a trick? Kurenai contemplated with a slight blush on her cheeks. Okay. Why don't you go next? Kurenai looked at Kiba, ignoring Naruto, making him frown at her. I'm Inuzuka Kiba. I like my family, Akamaru, and training. I dislike overly strong smells. My dream is to be the strongest Inuzuka clan head. He finished. Kurenai nodded and motioned for Hinata. And my NN name is Hyuga H. Hinata. I like my T-team and I admire a P-person who is strong and smart. He inspires me to be strong. Hinata cast a quick glance over at a confused Naruto. My D-dream is to make my FFF father proud and see combine the M main and branch F families of the Hyuga clan. My, I didn't know she has that much of a crush on me, Naruto thought with an unnoticeable smirk, while every except Kurenai wondered who she was taking about. Oh God. I totally forgot about her crush on him. How am I going to tell her he is not the same person that meets the eye and why I am the only one noticing that smug look on his face? Kurenai thought, terrified as she saw Naruto's smirk. Shino took it as his turn as Kurenai didn't say anything. I am known as Abirame Shino. I enjoy reason and logic, as well as order and structure. I pride myself on being able to draw detailed, accurate conclusions on matters quickly. I also enjoy cataloging new species of bugs in Konoha. I don't like people who are illogical or unnecessarily loud. Dreams are illogical. Okay, can't say anything to that. Why don't you go next, Pinky? Kakashi asked as it was his team's turn. Sakura bristled at the nickname but didn't say anything. I'm Haruno Sakura. The thing I like is she glanced at Sasuke and giggled. Well, the person I like is she again glanced at Sasuke and giggled. And my dream for the future once again glanced at Sasuke and squealed, making a shudder to go down his spine. The things I dislike are Ino Pig and Naruto. She finished glaring at Naruto. Aw, don't be so mean, Sakura-chan. Naruto cheered with his eyes closed, with Hinata giving a glare at Sakura and Kurenai to gulp. I think she just made him put her on his to-kill list, Kurenai thought. Fangirls, Kakashi signed. Okay. Why don't you go next, blonde? Kakashi looked at Naruto. Now, everyone turned to Naruto, who grinned and folded his hands behind his head. My name is Uzumaki Naruto. He eyed Kurenai mischievously for a moment, and Kurenai felt herself begin to blush. I like Kurenai-sensei, ramen, and training. I hate people who judge me without knowing about me. My dream is to be the greatest Hokage. And make this village rest in peace forever. Believe it? Naruto darkly thought. Why did he have to say that? Kurenai blushed crimson as Naruto looked directly at her when he said he liked her. Did something happen during their training? But I see can't lose Naruto-kun to Kurenai-sensei. Hinata thought as she and everyone looked between the two, thinking how they know each other. It seems Naruto has developed a crush on Kurenai. Can't blame him though, too bad Kurenai has her eyes on me. I just hope the poor boy doesn't suffer a heartbreak. Kakashi giggled, thinking he finally broke the ice shell that made Kurenai the ice queen of Konoha. Yo! Broody, why don't you go next? Said Kakashi, making Naruto and Kiba to laugh. Sasuke glared at the three but nonetheless introduced himself. My name is Uchiha Sasuke. There are tons of things I dislike, but I don't really like anything except my mother. And I don't want to use the word dream, but I have an ambition, the resurrection of my clan and to kill a certain man. Sasuke-kun is so cool, Sakura thought with stars in her eyes. Just as I thought, Kakashi signed. Well, at least he is open about it, Kurenai thought sarcastically. Okay then, my cute little genin. Tomorrow we are going to have survival tests to see if you're worthy of the title. Kakashi clapped. But Kakashi-sensei, we already had a survival test at the academy? Sakura asked the question that was on everyone's mind. Kakashi was about to give one of his aloof replies, but Kurenai cut him. The academy test was only to weed out the weaklings. Tomorrow's test will determine your status as a genin, so be prepared, Kurenai advised, making everyone nod at her. You took away my fun, Kurenai. Oh. Well, team, meet me at the training ground 7 tomorrow at 7 a.m., and don't eat breakfast before anyone can ask why he disappeared in a poof of smoke. Kurenai signed at his antics but didn't say anything to would ruin his plan. Teammate, meet me at training ground 8 at the same time. Kurenai glanced one last time at Naruto, and saw him give her a we need to talk look. She shoo-shined away without giving a response. Team 8 also said their goodbyes and made their way home, leaving only Team 7 on the roof. It was Sasuke who broke the silence. Dobe. My mother asked me to invite you to dinner tonight? Sasuke informed Naruto. Just say you're busy, Kyuubi yelled. Why didn't you tell me early, team? Just thinking about her cooking is making me hungry. Naruto ignored the Kyuubi as usual and took of the roofs towards the Uchiha district. Sasuke-kun, can I come as well? Sakura jumped at the chance to get to know Sasuke's mother. Sasuke grunted and went in the same direction as Naruto. Sakura took that as a yes and followed his lead. Uchiha Clan District. Sasuke and Sakura caught up to Naruto, and together they entered the Uchiha Clan District. It was almost barren of any life, making Sakura on edge. But she tried to stay strong in front of her crush, as even Naruto didn't seem affected by the lack of general population. The houses in the clan's ground were all empty. The trio began to walk to the far end of the district towards the only house that has lights on. Mikoto was wearing an apron on her usual clothes. She was setting the dinner on the table when she heard a knock at the door. She washed her hands and went to open the door to meet her guests, and saw Sasuke and Naruto removing their footwear at the door. Welcome home, Sasuke-kun. Naruto-kun, it's nice of you to join us, Mikoto said, happy that Naruto came for dinner, but she also noticed a pink-haired girl with them who seemed rather nervous. Hello, Uchiha-sama. My name is Sakura Haruno. I'm Sasuke-kun's teammate. I hope I'm not intruding. Sakura bowed respectfully to the Uchiha matriarch. It's fine, Sakura-san. Sasuke's friends are always welcome here. Why don't you wait in the hall while I prepare the dinner, Mikoto said and sighed sadly as she noticed Sasuke already went to his room without saying a word. She turned when she felt someone pull on her wrist. Come on, Mikoto-chan. I'll help you set the table, Naruto said softly, making her smile and let him lead her to kitchen, all the while holding her hand. Why is Naruto behaving so familiar with Uchiha-sama? Sakura thought, confused. A few minutes later. Currently we find the last remaining two Uchihas with Naruto and Sakura at the dinner table. This is great, Mikoto-chan. It is almost as good as ramen, Naruto exclaimed as he ate Mikoto's homemade sushi. Coming from you, I'll take that as a compliment, Naruto-kun, Mikoto giggled while Sasuke and Sakura silently eating their meal, with Sakura giving an irritated look at Naruto. Hey! Ramen is the best food in the world, Mikoto-cha ow. Naruto yelped as Sakura bonked him on the head. Idiot! Behave and don't call Uchiha-sama like that. Sakura fumed at Naruto, secretly trying to impress Sasuke's mother and him. Mikoto frowned at the girl. It's alright, Sakura-san. Both Naruto-kun and I have known each other for years. I would appreciate if you don't do that again. Besides, I like it when he calls me as such, Mikoto said dreamily at the end. Sasuke stopped eating and observed his mother. Her tone, it almost sounded like, nah, that couldn't be it. Sasuke just shook his head and went back to eating. There is no way my mother has thing for the dobe of all people. Sakura wanted to go hide in a box after hearing Sasuke's mother defend Naruto like that. Sorry, she said meekly as silence ensued. So, how was your sensei? Mikoto changed the topic. Well, he said his name was Kakashi and told us we have some sort of test tomorrow, Naruto said with Sakura nodding. Yeah, but he didn't seem serious about it like Kurenai-san, Sakura stated. Mikoto zoned out of the conversation as soon as she heard the red-eyed rookie Jonin's name. She had tried to confront Kurenai to know what was going on between her and Naruto at the end of the last week, but found out that she left the village on a mission. She fumed mentally as thinking about Kurenai made her remember the council meeting at the graduation night. Flashback. The council chambers were abuzz with noise. Well, at least the civilian council was, because they were practically dragged by the ANBU to the council meeting in the middle of the night. Some of the civilians were even wearing nightcaps, trying to rub the sleep from their eyes. The ninjas tried to maintain a professional look, but you could tell that they were also irritated. Mikoto was sitting between her longtime friend Sim Inuzuka and the ever-stoic Hyuga clan head Hayashi. Do you what's this all about? Mikoto asked Sim. Don't know? But it must be important if they called everyone in the middle of the night? Sim yawned. Mikoto nodded. She just arrived to her house, after giving her report to the Hokage after she and Naruto retrieved the Forbidden Scroll, when an ANBU appeared and informed her about the council meeting. Something must have happened after I left, Mikoto thought, looking at the elder council members, mainly Koharu, Hamura and Danzo, for any clues, but they seemed just as clueless as well. The council grew silent as the Hokage entered the chambers with a serious look on his face, making all of them tense. It had been a long time since they saw him like this. What the matter, Hijirin? Koharu asked, taking the initiative. Sarutobi just snapped his fingers. An ANBU with a cat mask appeared beside him. He handed her a scroll and motioned for her to read. Yugao, who was behind the ANBU, opened the scroll and began to read it. Hokage-sama. My name is Mei Teremi. You probably remember me from our meeting 2 years ago when I came to ask your aid in the civil war in Kiri. Even though you refused to help us, we were able to pull through and win the war against the tyrant Yugura. But we hold no ill will against you and your village and understand your reasoning perfectly. Now a new rule has been established here in Kiri since Yagura's fall a few months back, and Kiri has become somewhat stable. The people of Kiri want to start over again, and as such we would like to form an alliance with the Leaf. As a symbol oath, I offer myself to a marriage contract to the Leaf if one Uzumaki Naruto willingly agrees to be my husband. The Godame Mizukage. Meitarumi. The sound of the scroll hitting the floor went unnoticed as council members went in an uproar. The civilians and a few ninjas couldn't understand why anyone would willingly want to marry the demon brat. The shinobi council went on high alert. It was normal in the ninja world for country to seek alliance with another after war, and a marriage contract was offered to show that the utmost sincerity towards the alliance between the countries. It was very reasonable of Kiri to make this alliance, as it would help in the improvement of their village. The only strange and suspicions about this was that the Mizukage was offering herself personally, and even then instead of choosing a clan heir. She chose a clan-less orphan who barely managed to pass the graduation on his third time. Wow! That pup is sure is filled of surprise, don't you agree? Mikoto-san looked at her friend and stopped. Mikoto had her fists clenched so hard they were turning white, and her eyes were shadowed by her hair. Mikoto-san thought surprised by her behavior. Mikoto suddenly stood up and slammed her fists on the table. Hokage-sama! You can't agree to this. It's obliviously some kind of trap. Mikoto yelled at the aged leader, taking many of the council members by surprise. Before the Hokage could answer, a fat merchant from the civilian side stood. Hokage-sama, I advise we let them have the demon brat. He is of no use to the village. We can at least make use of the alliance this way, he said, with many of the civilian side agreeing with him. Mikoto's chakra flared as killer intent began to roll from her. Don't you dare call him a demon. You hear me? Mikoto glared at the fat ass, her Sharingan blazing, making him tremble and fall back in his chair. Even the clan heads and Hokage were sweating slightly at her killer intent. Mikoto-san, please calm down. We still haven't made a decision yet, Sarutobi exclaimed, making her sit down on her chair, but not before giving one last glare at the civilian council, daring anyone to speak. Now Shikaku, if you will, Sarutobi said to the Nara clan head, taking a smoke from his pipe. Shikaku Nara, who seemed to be sleeping the whole time, lazily brought his head up. I agree with Mikoto-san. It is very suspicious Kiri chose Naruto, who isn't even a ninja of the Leaf until today. It makes you wonder how she even knew Naruto's name, Shikaku said, making Mikoto nod. Well, now that you mentioned it. She did meet Naruto that day when she came to ask for help, and they did get along quite well, if I remember. Sarutobi trailed off, remembering that day 2 years ago. If that's the case, then she might have chosen him because he may be the only person she knew personally about in the Leaf, and we can assume they didn't want to have any obligation to any clan or clan laws that they faced if they had made the marriage contract with a clan heir from a major clan. Hayashi supplied, making many fellow clan heads nod. Mikoto frowned. She didn't like where this conversation was heading. I vote to make this alliance official, Danzo Shimura stated, speaking for the first time. Mikoto was about to protest when the Hokage stopped her. Please elaborate, Danzo, Sarutobi said, looking at Danzo seriously. Danzo stood from his seat. A marriage contract is an ultimate symbol of faith and loyalty between the two villages making the contract. If one refuses a contract as such when offered, the other hidden villages will look down on Konoha, and as stated in the scroll, the marriage is only made official if Uzumaki agree of his own free will, so we wouldn't be forcing him into anything he doesn't want. We can agree to the contract now and make Uzumaki refuse if we have evidence that it is a fraud. The old war hawk then looked pointedly at Mikoto. Uchiha-san, you are letting your own personal feelings for the boy get into your line of thinking. I advise you to refrain yourself from doing as such in the future, he stated, taping his cane on the floor for an act finality. Mikoto gritted her teeth at his words and stopped herself from making any retort. She wasn't in mood to have verbal war with him. So she just sat down and took deep breaths to calm herself before she would end up smothering his. I find the reasoning very logical, so I vote for the formation of the alliance, Aburama Shibi said, while some people gave him surprised looks noticing him for the first time. I vote as well. I think it will be helpful for both of the villages. Yamanka and Ochi voted. I don't know about the villages, but I think it will do well to the poor boy. I vote for the alliance, Akamichi Choza voted. And soon most of the shinobi council and clan heads followed their suit, with the civilians who were more than happy get rid of the demon. Come on, Mikoto, don't you think you're being a bit overprotective of him? Some said with her hand raised, looking at her friend who was still fuming, having immersed in her own thoughts. I won't let them take Naruto away. Flashback end. After finishing dinner, Sasuke immediately went to train while Naruto and Sakura decided to help Mikoto clean the dishes. As both said goodbye to Sakura, Mikoto stopped Naruto from leaving by placing a hand on his shoulder. Naruto-kun, do come to visit me from time to time. Sasuke is always training and I get pretty lonely in here all by myself. Mikoto requested Naruto with her lips curled down, showing she was not happy because of the absence of his presence for more than a month. Sorry about that, Mikoto-chan. I was kind of busy training. I promised to come and visit once every week from now, Naruto promised, making her smile and nod. They both said their goodbyes and went on their ways, with Naruto on his way to his apartment, and Mikoto to her room. I won't let them take you away, Naruto-kun. I won't let anyone take you away from me, Mikoto thought, leaning her back against the door of her room. I thought you would get used to it by now, Naruto thought, jumping from roof to roof. Even if you have somehow convinced me to let you be with other women, that still doesn't mean I have to like it, and you know I hate the Uchiha bitch, Kyubi replied from the recesses of his mind. Oh, come on. She doesn't even know about you, and beside, if I remember, you practically demanded me to fuck you after our first time, Naruto informed. Shut up. I'm going back to sleep, Kyubi said, embarrassed at the mention of that day. Naruto just shook his head and continued on to reach his apartment. Naruto's apartment. Naruto entered his apartment, opening the door. Well, he never bothered locking it in the first place. I hope you're ready for some dessert, Naruto-kun, a voice said as he turned on the lights. Next morning, Kurenai was standing in front of Naruto's apartment door, hesitating to knock. No matter what she did, she couldn't get him out of her mind. So, she finally got up the nerve and decided to meet him. So, she came to his apartment. Get a hold of yourself, Kurenai. You're a jonin, for God's sake. What could he possibly do to you except kill you with a single thought? Kurenai reassured herself. Well, he could do punish to you if you be a bad girl, a chibi, Kurenai in her mind spoke up. Kurenai blushed at her inner thoughts. Ever since that day, Kurenai felt slightly aroused whenever she started thinking about Naruto. It was getting worse day by day, she even began to have wet dreams about him. Must be the effect of that damned seal, Kurenai thought, fiercely touching the spot on her neck where the now invisible seal was. But she couldn't just avoid Naruto forever, so she moved her hand forward and was about to knock when the door opened. Kurenai-san? It's you! A cheerful voice spoke. Kurenai looked up to see the ramen girl from stand she went with Naruto a week ago. I am San? Kurenai stated. She too looked over her once to see she was glowing. You must be here for Naruto-kun. He's inside. I'm sorry, but I have to go. I'm already late to open the store as it is. Wait. I am rushed as she pushed Kurenai inside the apartment and started to go the stairs with slight limp in each step. But she doesn't seem to be in pain, Kurenai thought, confused. She had seen that look on the ramen girl's face before, but she couldn't place her finger on it. Are you going to stand in the doorway all day? A voice said, startling Kurenai. Kaya. Kurenai turned around with a hand over heart to slow down the rapid beating and meet the sight of an amused-looking Naruto wearing a black t-shirt and his usual orange pants. Don't scare me like th. Kurenai stopped when she smelled something funny in the air. She took another sniff of it, and it clicked in her mind, the glow, the limp, and the smell. It only happened when woman had. Yyuhh her, oh god, Kurenai spluttered accusingly, pointing a shaking finger at Naruto. Kurenai's face became cheery red and she fainted. Who knew she was a closet pervert? Naruto sighed, looking at the blood leaking out of her nose. Kurenai Yuhi was sitting across a table with her friends Anko Mitarashi, Inuzuka Hana and Yuzuki Yugao, along her fellow jonin, namely Sarutobi Azuma, Hataka Kakashi and Mike Gay, in the Dango restaurant, not really paying attention to any of them, lost in her thoughts about a certain blonde ninja. Yash! My rival has finally decided to take a team and pass on his flames of youth, Guy exclaimed, giving a nice guy pose. HN. Did you say something? Kakashi asked, looking up from his book. All of them began to laugh at Guy's expense as he began to cry anime tears, ranting about Kakashi's hippie attitude. The laughter, however, stopped as they noticed something, or rather someone was missing in the fun. They turned to Kurenai, only to find Kurenai blankly staring at the table, deep in thought. Are you alright, Kure? Anko raised a hand to cut off Asuma's question. Having dirty thoughts about your boyfriend, Kure-chan? Anko asked like it was the most casual thing in the world. Kurenai nodded, paying half attention to her question, but then her eyes widened. What? Anko! Everyone snickered. It was not every day you see Kurenai's face turn the same color as her eyes, while Kakashi giggled for different reason, but they didn't pay any attention since he does giggle all the time. So, how did your team do, Asuma? Kurenai changed the subject. They have just reported the Hokage after giving the Genin test to their teams before coming here. Only Team 7, Team 8, and Team 10 have managed to pass the test, and the rest of the students were sent away to the academy to repeat their final year. TSK, Shiokmaru went off to sleep saying it was too troublesome to fight and told me to let Chuji and Ino to pass. I'm still confused. I don't know if he saw through my test, or was he just being lazy? Asuma explained, lighting his smoke. Well, that's a Nara for you. Hana supplied, making them share a laugh. What about you, Kurenai-san? How did your students prove their flames of youth? Each had a massive sweat drop at the double meaning of his question. They didn't have much of a problem. They were easily able to catch me and work together from the beginning. Kurenai sighed. She only put half-hearted effort into the test due to that incident in the morning. What about you, senpai? How did your team do? Uego asked her former ANBU captain. Yeah, Kakashi, I never thought you would move your lazy ass enough to actually take a team? Enko grinned. Kakashi ignored the jab and answered, the Hokage and the council suggested it was finally time I take on apprentices. More like threatened to make his life miserable if he failed another team. Surprisingly, everyone thought the same thing. But they did rather well, especially the Uchiha. He was quite impressive, Kakashi added. Well, that's to be expected. He is the rookie of the year after all. How about him, the Uzumaki kid? Hana asked, curious about the demon container. Kurenai tensed at the mention of Naruto, which was only noticed by Enko, but she also looked at Kakashi expectantly. Well, he did surprise me with the shadow clones, but he didn't seem to have any other special skills? Kakashi mused. That's it. I thought he would do a lot more than that since he defeated and killed Mizuki and Irika. Are you saying it was all luck? Hana asked, disbelieving. Uego suddenly laughed, getting the attention of all of them. What's so funny, Uego? Enko inquired. It's just you reminded me of the last council meeting, Uego said, controlling her fits of laughter, and noticing everyone's curious gaze, continued. I'm not allowed to tell you yet, but believe me, you're in for a surprise for this one. Wait. My mom mentioned something about Mikoto-sama being upset in the last meeting. Is it the same one you're talking about? Hana ached. Ah, yes. She was so livid about it, I think some civilians pissed on the spot under her glare. They all looked at each other, and then at Uego, who sat tight-lipped. They all sighed, knowing they were not going to get any information out of the ANBU commander. Kakashi, what is your opinion of Naruto? Kurenai asked suddenly. Well, he was loud, obnoxious, and a total idiot without any tact. The rest had a massive sweat drop at his blunt deduction of the boy's skills. Why are you doing this, Naruto? What will you achieve by making yourself look weaker than you really are? Kurenai again spaced out for a moment, trying to figure out the blonde enigma that was Naruto, but then she noticed Enko looking at her with narrowed eyes. What's the matter, Enko? The rest of them stopped their conversations and all of them looked at the duo. Enko didn't take her eyes off Kurenai for a second as she brought her elbows to the table, chewing on her dango stick, and placed her head on the wrist of her right hand. Why don't you tell me what the matter is? Enko said nonchalantly. What? Kurenai asked, confused at her friend's behavior. You seem to be distracted lately. Is there something you should know about? Enko asked, wiggled her eyebrows with a dango stick in her mouth. Kurenai's eyes widened and her cheeks went a little red. Have I been that obvious? Kurenai asked herself. I don't know what you're talking about, Enko. Kurenai mentally berated herself for spluttering, and she felt like frog caught by a snake at seeing Enko's grin. The snake mistress' grin only widened. She swung her arm to the side, catching Kurenai in a headlock, and began to playfully rub her fist at the top of her friend's head. You know you can't hide anything from me for too long, Kure-chan. So tell us who the lucky guy is? I promise I won't do anything much, Enko added. It's nothing like that, Enko. Kurenai tried to defend herself. Kure-chan, you should have told us, Uego said, sounding hurt. First Uego and now you too. How long have you been doing this? Hana teased. Kurenai finally untangled herself from Enko and tried to not reveal anything of her new relationship with Naruto. There's nothing going on like that. You know I will tell you guys if I started seeing someone, Kurenai said, looking at them, making sure her voice doesn't break. Enko did believe her one bit. Oh, come on, girl. You can't lie to me. It's written all over your face. You are smitten over someone like a lovesick puppy. Enko said, all the while poking her forefinger on Kurenai's nose, while Hana and Uego nodding in affirmation. Puppy, I couldn't have said better myself, Enko. Ika puppy love, were the thoughts of a certain masked jonin. Just tell us. Is it one of these guys? Hana asked, pointing at 3 males present at the table. Kurenai! Have you fallen from my springtime of youth? Guy exclaimed while Asuma blushed at the idea and Kakashi giggled. No, Guy. And it's nothing like that, yelled a flustered Kurenai. Kakashi just got up from her seat and went towards Kurenai. Don't rush it, Kurenai. The situation is not always as bad as it seems, take your time and get to know him better. Kakashi gave her a nice smile before patting her back and made his way out. Everyone sat in stunned silence. They were still looking at where Kakashi exited. What was that all about? Asuma finally asked, looking at the rest who were still dumbstruck. Yash. My rival has taken it upon himself to spread his springtime of youth. Training ground. It was around midnight. Kurenai was sitting under a tree beside the lake near the training ground 7. She was looking irately at the piece of paper in her hand. Come to this place tonight if you want answers. Naruto. Naruto had already left by the time she had woken up from her shock-induced state in his apartment. The paper was struck to her forehead, giving the directions of the training field. After saying goodbyes to her friends, she directly came here to meet him. She had been waiting for an hour or so and her patience was reaching its limits. Where the hell is he? Kurenai thought in irritation, but her expression softened as she gazed at the shining star-filled sky. It's beautiful. Isn't it? Kaya! Kurenai couldn't believe she got startled for the second time that day, not to mention by the same person. She glared at the laughing man who now stood beside her. Shut up. It's not funny. Kurenai glared at the blonde. I disagree. It was rather cute if you asked me. Kurenai had to use all her experience as a shinobi to not pout. She was still having a hard time keeping the facade she put around that her friend Anko managed to break sometimes. But around him it was like the invisible barrier she built around herself has been lifted. Why were you late? Kurenai changed the topic. I wasn't late. I actually arrived an hour before you did. Naruto smirked at her. What? Then why didn't you come and meet me? Kurenai asked, stunned. You're one to talk. You have been avoiding me for a week, Naruto said, sitting beside her under the tree. They both sat in silence, with Naruto deciding to let her start the conversation, and Kurenai thinking on how to begin the conversation. That ramen girl, what was she doing in your apartment? Kurenai asked, looking at a rock that suddenly caught her interest, sounding not jealous. Yes. I'm not jealous. Kurenai mentally reassured herself, even though the only thing running through her head were the different scenarios of how the ramen girl and Naruto did things to each other. Naruto raised an eyebrow, looking at Kurenai. He certainly didn't expect this to be things she would ask first. I guess this situation is better than I thought, Naruto mused, smirking mentally. Oh, we were hogging around, Naruto said innocently. Kurenai grew a tick mark at his answer. Okay. Mind telling why you were hogging around? Then any normal male in Konoha would have run with their hands between their legs with glare Kurenai was giving Naruto right now. But Naruto was not normal by any means. Wow, you sound rather jealous, Naruto teased, unfazed under her glare. Kurenai's eyes widened when he said that. She stopped as Naruto turned serious before she could make a remark. She was one of my test subjects for the seal, Naruto stated seriously. Test subjects? Kurenai trailed off, as if testing the word. A flash of special Jonin Anko went through her head. Well, let's just say it didn't end well for me when I first applied the seal, Naruto said in a trance, not sensing the mood shift, remembering a certain red-headed rebellion leader. Kurenai clenched her fist as anger washed over her. Memories of the state of her dear friend Anko played in her mind. You're just like him, Kurenai stated calmly, her eyes being shadowed by her hair. What? Naruto turned around, coming back from his memory lane, when he felt the fluctuations in the seal, warning him of the negative emotions building against him in Kurenai. You're just like Orochimaru. You use people to get what you want and then throw them away. Kurenai yelled, standing up. Slaw. Naruto caught Kurenai's wrist inches away from his face. He could have used the seal to subdue her, but that would have made her angrier instead of calming her down. Kurenai glared, looking directly into Naruto's eyes, not caring about the seal. She thought he was going to make a snide comment. So, imagine her surprise when he pulled her towards him, which resulted in her landing awkwardly in his lap as he enveloped her in a tight hug. Let me go, Kurenai said as her anger was rapidly draining and being replaced with confusion. She tried to push Naruto away, but her position made it impossible, and Naruto only held her tighter. I'm not going to abandon you, Naruto began, making her eyes widen as she stopped struggling. He pulled back so he could look at her stunned face. Because unlike Orochimaru, I care about you, Naruto said, looking directly into her crimson eyes. He cares about me, Kurenai thought as a foreign feeling began to flutter in her stomach. Kurenai's heart began beat rapidly when she saw Naruto began to lean in as if to kiss her. She closed her eyes waiting to feel his lips on hers but was rather disappointed when he just hugged her again. Besides, Naruto gained a devious smirk as he spoke next to her ear. Kurenai could feel his hot breath tickling her neck as he spoke, causing shudders to run up her spine as he continued. His voice felt different, as well it was more husky. I promise. I will give you everything you will ever need and more. His tone made her body heat up like it was on fire. She had to bite on her bottom lip to contain herself from moaning out loud. Why do I always end up like this with him? Kurenai wondered, slowly wrapping her arms around him, but she wasn't going to complain. She felt rather warm and comfortable this time. What do you want? Kurenai asked slowly with her eyes closed, enjoying the embrace, oblivious to the devilish grin on Naruto's face. If possible, Naruto's grin only widened at hearing her. He slowly pulled back so he could look at her. Tell me everything you know about chakra control exercises. Next morning. Yahoo! We are finally going to take our first mission. Kiba yelled, excited, looking at his teammates and sensei with Akamaru barking in approval on top of his head. Teammates stopped on their tracks to the Hokage Tower when they heard the bushes rustle. Ow, that hurt, a familiar voice said, making them relax. Hey guys, Naruto said, emerging out of the bushes. And Naruto-kun, Hinata spluttered, thinking her crush came to see her. Dobe, what are you doing here? Don't tell me forgot the way to your training ground, Kiba insulted, with Shino casting a curious glance at Naruto, wanting to know as well. Shut it, dog breath. I would never got lost with how you stink up to miles. I'm here to talk to Kurenai-chan. Naruto stuck his tongue at Kiba, making his go red in anger. Hinata's hopes came crashing at the moment Naruto mentioned Kurenai-chan. She narrowed her eyes at her sensei. What does Naruto-kun want with her? Why don't you three go ahead? I will join in after talking to Naruto, Kurenai suggested, trying to control the situation before it got out of hand. Naruto didn't wait for a reply as he grabbed Kurenai's wrist and dragged her into the bushes away from her team. Kurenai turned around when the rest were out of sight. What happened, Naruto? I thought we agreed to meet tonight. Kurenai didn't get to finish her sentence as Naruto stood on his tiptoes and crashed his lips against her, pressing her back to a tree. Kurenai got over the surprise in a second and immediately kissed him back with much vigor than last time. She wrapped her arms around his neck as he deepened the kiss, her fingers tangled in blonde locks. Kurenai-sensei, what should we, huh? Kiba scratched his head, confused. Are you sure they were here? Akamaru just tilted his ear, making Kiba sigh. Kurenai let out a breath of relief as she watched Kiba go. That was close, Kurenai thought out loud, dropping the genjutsu. She looked aside at not hearing a response, and only saw a piece of paper in Naruto's place. Consider that a reward for helping last night. See, I told you he was a good kisser. The chibi Kurenai, which had been acting up lately, giggled in her mind. Kurenai just brought a finger to her lips, softly touching them with her cheeks flaring at what she had done. Maybe this isn't as bad as I thought, Kurenai thought dreamily. Elsewhere. What is the meaning of this? A large man with a sword on back yelled, throwing a scroll at the desk. The person behind the desk just looked at the scroll, paying no mind to the furious man. The person was wearing kage robes and hat with the kanji of water on it. She had red hair with a beautiful shade of emerald eyes. Mei smiled, looking at the scroll with leaf symbol engraved. Oh, it's so they accepted my proposal, she said after reading the scroll. Slam! The man slammed his fist at the table, breaking it in half, while the two bodyguards stood at the side, one calm and other looking nervous. What the hell were you thinking, forming alliance with Konoha when they refused to help us in the war? I don't see the problem here, Zabuza. We need a strong ally to recover our village quickly, Mei said, never dropping her smile. The man now recognized as Zabuza Momochi didn't look convinced one bit. Fine. I understand the alliance, but why did you offer yourself to marry some no-name punk? Did you lose your mind? Zabuza yelled, outraged at the idea of her marrying. Mei's smile dropped, and before Zabuza knew it, he was pinned to the far wall of the room with furious kage glaring daggers at him. Mei began to lift Zabuza by the throat until he and his sword on his back were suspending in the air. Her eyes tuned crimson with slits as the whole room was flushed with immense killer intent. The other occupants in the room, Ao and Chojuro, were on their knees struggling to breath. Zabuza, if you dare insult my fiancé again, then I'll kill you. Zabuza's whole body began to shiver in fear of the woman before him. He knew she was capable of finishing her threat. He witnessed it firsthand as she fought Yagura. So, he gave her a weak nod. Mei held him for a second before throwing him at the floor. The three males in the room sighed in relief as she calmed down. Chojuro, clean this mess. Mei barked out an order before leaving the room with Ao following her. Hey, are you okay, senpai? Zabuza just got up and left the room without answering. Mei-sama, if you don't mind me asking, why did you propose the marriage? Ao hesitated to ask, making Mei look at him. He began to sweat profusely, thinking of ways to escape if she decided to kill him. But his worries went away as she smiled. It's rather simple, Ao. Mei paused for dramatic effect, causing Ao to lean in. I'm in love. Mei squealed like a schoolgirl and went skipping her way throughout the corridor until she was out of sight. Ao just stood as rock, staring into space. A gust of wind somehow managed to enter the closed room as it blew past him. He could only think of one though at her ridiculous answer. Back in my days. MMHHAO Kurenai moaned at the ministrations of the whisker-marked blonde was doing. She clenched the sheets of her bed tightly in one of her hand as the other went around his neck, holding on to his blonde locks. And Naruto, she gripped onto his hair tighter and pushed him into her neckline. Naruto began to trail kisses up her jaw, making her clothed body squirm under his own. You're getting so wet, Kure-chan. Naruto smirked as he looked at her breathless face. Don't say things like that, Kurenai said, flustered, turning away from him, her chest rising and falling with each intake of air. Naruto gripped her chin, turning her head so that she was facing him. Don't be shy, Kure-chan. Naruto got a perverted grin on his face. Tell me, does it turn you on knowing someone younger is doing this to you? Naruto accentuated by squeezing her right, making her moan in pleasure. Kurenai couldn't even form a coherent thought. All the dirty talk added with his gentle touches was making her mind go haywire, so she just shut her eyes, too embarrassed to look at him. Sensei. Feel. I think she having a bad dream. What are those voices? Kurenai squinted her eyes. She saw three blurry figures standing over her. Her vision slowly cleared and she recognized the three figures as her students, who all had concerned expressions on their faces. Hey, are you okay, sensei? Hinata asked timidly. Why yes, Kurenai answered, holding her head, trying to regain her bearings. What happened? You told us to spar and fell asleep watching us. Shino answered, adjusting his glasses. Hey, are you feeling well, sensei? Why you were moaning in your sleep? Hinata asked, poking her index fingers together, concerned for her teacher's health. Yeah, you seemed like you were having a nightmare. Hey, do you smell that? Kiba sniffed, looking around. Kurenai's eyes widened as felt something dripping down her inner thigh. She went beet red as she remembered her nightmare. What is it, Kiba? Hinata inquired her teammate, turning away from Kurenai while Shino also looked down, curious. Kurenai was jolted out of her thoughts as she realized just exactly that the scent was. Damn his nose. I must do something before he finds out. Kurenai mentally panicked, but it was too late. It smells like. Kiba trailed off with his slitted eyes landing on his sensei just as she was about to speak. Thump. Kiba blasted backwards with a fountain of blood pouring out of his nose and a weird smile on his face. Hinata? Shino? Kurenai called, getting their attention before they could go to aid their teammate. I'm not feeling well today. You three can take the day off after waking Kiba. Bye. Kurenai said quickly and shushined so they can't see the redness on her face. Hinata and Shino just shared a look before they went to wake up the third member of their team, who was making giggling noises in his unconscious state. Cyclops here, are you ready? Pinky here, I'm in point A, ready. Blondie here, I'm in point B, ready. Sasuke? HN. Come on team, use the code word. I'm not saying it. Of all people, why did the dobe have to choose the names? Don't complain, Sasuke. We all lost to Naruto in the draw. You can choose code names next time? Fine. Duck but Sama here at point C, ready. Sasuke said reluctantly while Naruto snickered. See, I told you I will make him say it, Naruto thought with an ear-splitting grin, making the QB grumble under her breath. TSK. Why can't I ever win a bet against you? QB replied with a scowl. It's not my fault that you lose all the time. In fact, I think you should be called the legendary sucker. Somewhere in the elemental nations, a busted blonde woman with pigtails sneezed, making the cards in her hand fly away. Hey! I was going to win that. Guys, don't get distracted. Kakashi refrained. Hi. Target on sight at C, orders. Okay. Strike on 3-2. Blondie here, target caught. One, huh? Naruto came out of the tree line with a deadly pale cat in his hand. Is it Tora? Kakashi asked, surprised but nonetheless flipped a page in his little orange book. Yeah, came Sakura's voice, though she seemed to be surprised. Red ribbon on left ear, brown and white fur. This is Tora, all right. What did you do to the cat, Dobe? Sasuke asked, intrigued, eyeing the rigid cat in Naruto's arms while walking next to Sakura and Kakashi to the Hokage Tower for delivering the mission report. Hey, don't blame me. It was already like this, maybe it's sick. Naruto yelled at his teammates, and increased his pace, moving ahead. I wonder, is it because of the 9 tails? Kakashi thought, observing Naruto and his other students. It was a lie. This was not the first time this happened to him. The animals that lived in the forest and Inuzuka dog familiars have always been afraid of his presence near them, but he already had hunch on the reason. Is it because of you, Kyuubi? Naruto asked, the resident demoness in his head. I am not exactly sure. Maybe my chakra is very intense for these creatures, Kyuubi reasoned. Naruto nodded at that, since he was thinking the same thing. I doubt my chakra will do that. I'm sure it is because of that essence in him, but it didn't act up since the time we met. I will have to talk to him if it happens again. Kyuubi mused, shuddering at the thought of that creature. Hokage Tower. Well done, Team 7, said Sarutobi, seeing they had returned from bringing back Tora. Ah, Tora-chan, you're back, came the cry of the Fire Daimyo's wife. The Hokage was about to give a sympathetic look towards the cat as the woman took it from Naruto's arms when something he didn't know he would see in his lifetime happened. Instead of pushing her away, the cat began to snuggle into the woman's chest. Sarutobi had a massive sweat drop when he caught the cat peeking at Naruto and hiding in her chest again, as if seeking protection in it. Ahem. We have a couple more missions for you. He begins after he got everyone's attention and shifts through his papers for the next task. What do we have here? We have picking up dog poop at Inuzuka canals, weeding gardens, cleaning my garage, helping old ladies cross the street, and... That's it. I can't take this crap anymore. No! Shouted Naruto, suddenly making everyone jump in shock. I am tired of all these chores, old man, shouted Naruto. Don't you have any real missions? For once I agree with the Dobe, said Sasuke. I demand a mission that is more challenging and worthy of an Uchiha. Yet give us a real shinobi mission. Sakura nodded with her teammates, but mainly to her Sasuke-kun, making Kakashi face palm. He knew this was coming. But Team 7 has only been active for only 1 month now, and you 3 are still too green. Till we feel that you are ready, you will be given simple missions. Come on, Grandpa, pleaded Naruto, cutting the Hokage off. Allow me to explain, Hokage-sama, said the Kakashi, placing his book away. Missions are based on a letter system with a B at the top and D at the bottom. A-ranked missions are for Jonin and A and BU. B-ranked missions are for Rookie Jonin and High Chunin. C-ranked missions go to Chunin and Experienced Genin. D-ranked missions are for you rookies so that you can work on teamwork. We will get the occasional S-ranked mission, but that's not for you to worry about. But how are you supposed to know when we are ready for something when we don't do anything to prove it? We could hunt down that stupid cat for years and it would show you how well we can perform on a higher ranked mission? Demanded Sasuke. Isn't there a mission that we can do? We're not asking for an assignation mission or anything major, just a chance to prove that we can do something more than what we are doing now, added Sakura, trying to sound as cool as her crush. At least I didn't have to make a complete fool out myself, Naruto thought, pleased at the way the conversation went. I guess they are useful for something. Kyuubi nodded in agreement. The Hokage took a drag from his pipe. He hated to admit it, but they had a point. Perhaps it was time for them to see the real world. Very well, said the Hokage. We do happen to have a mission that Team 7 would be able to do. It is a simple escort mission. What kind of escort are we doing? Are we protecting some daimyo? Or maybe a princess? Asked Naruto eagerly. Easy, laughed the Hokage. I was about to introduce him. You may come in now. Team 7 turned their head to face the door on the other side of the room. Slowly it opened to reveal an old drunk man holding a large bottle of sake. What's this? He asked, taking a swing from his bottle. I thought I hired some ninja and these are just some stupid brats. A blonde midget with a super stupid looking face, a guy with duck-ass haircut, and... Naruto's and Sasuke's angry looks turned to one of confusion as the old drunk began to look at Sakura with a critical eye, especially the chest area. After what seemed to be an eternity of staring, he finally spoke. Why are you dressed like a girl? Sakura went beet red with anger as fumes of smoke came out of her ears while the other male in the room were snickering to themselves. Does this mean Sasuke isn't gay as we thought? Kyubi rolled in laughter in her bed inside the cage. Naruto closed his mouth using both his hands, resisting the urge to stop himself from saying that out loud. I am a girl. You old geezer! I'm gonna kill you! Sakura screeched, making a beeline towards the bastard. Clam down, Sakura. We will get no pay if we kill our client before the mission, said Kakashi as he held on to the back of Sakura's dress. Sakura glared one last time before backing away. Tazuna-san, you should never judge a shinobi by their age. I assure you my ninja are more than capable of protecting you, the Hokage stated. It was a common occurrence for civilians to underestimate ninja they hired. Well, I'll take your word for it. I am the super bridge builder Tazuna, the person now known as Tazuna said after he took a gulp of sake. I am expecting super protection for you until I get back to my home country and finish the bridge. His introduction earned eye twitches from the members of Team 7. Alright team, said Kakashi, getting their attention. I want you all to go and pack your gear and supplies for a week and be ready to leave. Meet at the North Gate early tomorrow, ordered Kakashi before puffing out via Shunshin. The other three began their walk home with Sakura giving one last glare at Tazuna, who was too drunk to notice the world around him. After the three parted ways, Naruto looked up at the sky to see the sun was still high in the sky. It's still noon, I am not hungry yet. I should go and train. Training ground. Naruto arrived at his normal and regular training ground to see a now familiar presence. Now this is a surprise, you're here early? Kurenai, who was sitting on a rock at edge of the lake looking over it, immediately perked up on hearing his voice. What are you doing here? Naruto asked again as he began to walk towards her because she should normally be with her team at this time. I wasn't feeling well today, so I gave the day off for my team today. Kurenai nervously told half-truth. Well, he didn't need to know that she was having dreams of him doing lewd things to her, did he? Naruto just raised an eyebrow but decided to drop the matter. He brought his hands together for his favorite hand seal and formed a few shadow clones. Already knowing the orders, the clones went to train, some going to the lake to fight on water while the remaining went into the forest to practice kunai balancing. The real Naruto walked up to Kurenai and took a seat next to her on the rock. I'm still surprised you managed to perfect tree climbing and water walking in just a month. Not only that, but you managed to do kunai balancing as well, Kurenai said, awed as she watched the clones fight on top of water. I will require all the control I can get to master those jutsu, Naruto said, absent-mindedly thinking about the scrolls he found on the night of graduation over a month ago. Jutsu? What type of jutsu will require you to learn A and BU level chakra control exercises? Kurenai asked, her curiosity peaking while unconsciously decreasing the distance them. He had never mentioned anything about learning about any type jutsu in the past month since they began their secret training. My normal chakra reserves are large as it is, added to that me being a Jinchuriki only makes my chakra control suck, Naruto said, leaning back with his hands on the rock, ignoring that their shoulders brushed against each other. Oh? Kurenai said as silence enveloped between them except the occasional grunts and dispelling noises made by the clones that were still fighting at a distance. Why isn't he doing anything? He's always been very forward before, Kurenai thought as she intentionally brushed her shoulder against his this time. You are a bastard, you know that, Naruto. Now that she wants you, you're playing hard to get. Naruto just smirked as he ignored Kurenai's attempt again. What is wrong with him? Does he want me to keep rubbing him all day? Kurenai thought, agitated, but then bit her inner lip at the thought that crossed her mind. Wait. Does he want me to do it? Kurenai gulped. I don't care anymore. I need him to touch me. Kurenai's eyes burned with determination, and she slowly moved her hand towards his even if her hand was shaking in anticipation. Am I interrupting something? Kurenai jerked her hand away instantly. She shot up to face the new arrival and blinked in surprise. Talk about bad timing? Kyubi said, her tone turning to that of irritation. For once I agree with you. Naruto sighed. Uchiha-sama? Kurenai asked, confused on seeing the woman glaring daggers at her. This could be troublesome. Naruto pulled Nara on seeing the woman standing and staring at each other in a stalemate. Mikoto-chan! Naruto exclaimed as he ran towards the Uchiha matriarch and hugged her, making both women's eyes widen at the action. Naruto-kun, Mikoto said, surprised at the unexpected but very much welcomed contact as she embraced him back, completely forgetting about Kurenai. Kurenai was seething, her jealousy reaching its peak and still flaring to unimaginable levels at the sight. What is she doing here? How does Naruto know her? Does she have a seal as well? But Naruto said, me and Ayam were the only ones with the seal. Did he lie to me? Kurina's mind was in turmoil at the thoughts, her lips forming a thin line with a frown marring her beautiful face. Ahem. Kurenai coughed, breaking the moment, and reminding them of her presence. The Uchiha and Uzumaki duo parted for each other and faced Kurenai, with the former having an almost unnoticeable satisfied smirk on her face up on seeing the other woman's posture. Oh. By the way, Mikoto-chan, this is Kurenai-sensei. Kurenai-sensei, this is Mikoto-chan. Naruto introduced them, hoping it would ease the tension between the two. You got fucked up again, Kyubi commented. What? Naruto's surprise quickly faded away and he cursed himself as Kurenai became stiff with her frown deepening. Sensei, Kurenai repeated the word bitterly as the smile on the clan head's face only increased at the way Naruto addressed them. Hello, Kurenai-san. It's nice to finally meet you in person. I have heard a lot about you. Mikoto extended her hand. Nice to meet you as well, Uchiha-sama. Although I'm surprised you're already acquainted with Naruto, Kurenai greeted, forcing a smile on her face, not wanting to anger a clan head and council member. I'm surprised as well. I wasn't aware that you were still training him. Kurenai's eyebrows rose in shock that the woman knew she was training Naruto. She discreetly turned to Naruto, who was giving her "we will talk later" look. No, I just give him occasional tips in my free time, Kurenai lied, not revealing anything. Yeah, Mikoto-chan. Kurenai-sensei is awesome. She even taught me how to walk on water, Naruto exclaimed, jumping on his tiptoes, making Mikoto laugh at his eagerness. He's really good at acting. Kurenai's sweat dropped on seeing how convincing Naruto can be, but she also sighed in relief. This means he wasn't lying. She really doesn't know anything about him. Anyway, Mikoto-chan, what are you doing here? Were you looking for me? Naruto questioned, since he didn't plan on coming here either, so she must have intentionally looking for him. Mikoto looked confused for a second, then her eyes widened, remembering the reason she was here in the first place. I almost forgot about that. Sasuke-kun said he was leaving on a mission but didn't tell me the details. So I came looking for you. Mikoto sheepishly rubbed the back of her head. It seems someone was rubbing off on her. Wait. You're leaving the village on a mission? Kurenai gasped. Yeah. Me and my team are going on a C rank to protect a bridge builder to Wave Country for a week. A week?